key to muscles and wealth. It's game day men's health.
Also, our studio sponsor.
That's right.
The Game Day Men's Health Studios, where we are not today, but Game Day Men's Health is there for you. Online at GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Tons of if you're listening to us in DFW, there is a location near you. And if you're listening to us in DFW and you kind of feel, I don't know, a little run down.
Yeah, a little afternoon brain fog, a little sluggish. Well, hop into your nearest Game Day Men's Health studio and get 10% off TRT for life when you mention the Dumb Zone. I was solo with the kids all weekend, Dan.
Oh, yeah.
Tiring. I was able to do that because I had Game Day Men's Health.
Them
TRT
little kids got high tea.
Coursing through my veins. Well, I do.
Oh,
now.
you do.
10% off, though. 100% tea, 10% off at Game Day Men's Health Studio. Go check them out. Tell them the Dumb Zone sent you. They got vitamin therapy, all sorts of other stuff for you to check out, including that TRT at Game Day Men's Health. Oh.
All right, indeed. Happy Monday. You have a case of the Mondays?
Me? No.
Yeah. You all right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know you're not talking to me.
I must look horrible then.
What do you mean?
Well, if you're asking me if
Every
I
day's Saturday,
have a case
buddy.
of Mondays.
Oh, you think it's great. You're fired up.
I'm pretty fired up,
I'm
yeah.
excited to be here.
We are coming at you live to tape today, not from our Game Day Men's Health Studios in downtown Dallas. We're far away from downtown Dallas. Would you say deep in the heart of the state that we live in?
Yeah, I would say
like
we're deep and in heart.
Yeah. We're kind of north of Waco. Well, I guess you'd be north of Waco if you were in Grapevine. We're really close to Waco, though. It's a 2-hour drive to get here. We're at a ranch. It's called the Triple D Ranch. And my name is Dan McDowell.
I'm Jake Kemp.
I'm Blake Jones.
I think Clayton Kimbrough may be having a case of the Mondays. Henry seems like he's just Henry. He's our intern. And we're here at the behest of the guys who we have met before. We were at their business. Is it called The Spy Center?
Yeah. Yes.
Where they sell, like, spy equipment? Like, I was worried.
CENTRE, because we're cool? Yeah.
Because they're Canadian? Mm-hmm. Go back where you came from. Were you concerned when you asked these guys, hey, can I use the bathroom? And you go in there? You're looking for all red light dot. Like, did they always have red lights blinking when?
That's interesting. I didn't even think of that. Because I was talking to my wife about it yesterday, reliving the trip to the Spy Center. And she's like, well, what sort of stuff do they have? I'm like, whatever you can think of. Like, literally whatever you can think of.
Pen that's recording your audio.
The teddy bear, I'm sure.
Glasses that are recording.
Yeah, all of it. And also after we did our show out there, it's in Plano, right? Plano proper. Mm-hmm. TC, who grew up in Plano, told me that among the youth up there, that place was legendary. Like, just imagine you're driving by it every day with your parents and you're 8 or 9.
Oh, I'll bet.
You're like, what?
I'll bet.
A spy store?
Dude.
And then you learned the backstory, which, of course, what was going to be the backstory? To a guy who owns a spy shop. Like he got out of real estate?
Yeah.
Of course not.
An accountant?
What was he? Was he a cop?
He was a private investigator.
Oh, yeah.
He was a spy.
Yeah.
That's not like it's not a pivot from private equity.
You know, I wonder if Trump's like that because you'll say Trump likes things that 13-year-old you would like. Like he loves the action movies. He loves just kick-ass stuff.
McDonald's.
War. Really impressed. Like, oh, look at these guys. They broke down the Shane Gillis bit. You know, he's the one guy without military experience in the room, and then he comes out and tells what he saw. Like, oh, our guys, they don't go through the door. They don't knock. They blast through the wall. It's incredible.
He's bewildered.
And like if I was president, if you were president, wouldn't you be geeked to go into all right, where's our spy situation. Like, let's see what are all the stuff, the gadgets we have. How do we track people? Let's watch that.
Listen, one of my favorite scenes in any movie, any action movie, is the gear scene. Got to have a good gear up scene. And these guys just live in the gear up scene. There's just like a montage playing, and they're loading shotguns and like calibrating things. They got the gear.
So also, as I recall, when we were out there before, they were talking about their dad, Earl. I don't think that's his name. Actually, their dad, who had written a book about how OJ didn't do it.
OJ is innocent and I can prove it by William Deere.
So we'll have to we're going to do a big book review. You read the whole book?
Yeah, it took me some time to get to it, but it just sat on my shelf and I knew I had to get to it eventually because I knew nothing about the OJ case. And typically, if a listener gives me a book, I'm going to read it. And I got around to it. I devoured it. It's amazing. And I'm very, very excited to talk about it.
I'm surprised that you were able to read a book without steamy sex scenes in it.
Right, without an affair.
Well, but you're missing there was a murder.
There was a murder, and it's kind of steamy.
So murder and intrigue will keep you?
Yeah.
Well, it was in one of the OJ shows. Remember a couple OJ shows were popping out at the same time?
Of course.
And the one was talking about how Nicole would give a Brentwood hello.
Of course. How
which
could
would
I forget?
be a beach to just neighbors. Like she'd wake them up in that way. I'm like, God damn, my neighborhood sucks.
Well, you got the Graceland thing.
Or does not suck, I suppose.
There you go.
Anyway, so that's like a big portion of our program today, just doing a book review and talking about whether or not we believe that OJ did it or not.
When did William pass? July of last year. OJ passes April of last year.
Interesting. That's very. It's
The two
actually
most
not very interesting at all.
Well, I just think it's the two people who were the most determined to find the real killer, both passing within a matter of months of one another, because he was there.
Maybe it was just getting too close.
William was alive when we were at the spy shop, and there was an article that CBS must have come out there and done something on this last February. What happened in April?
Hey,
last
pop
year?
on. There's a mic over there for you.
Well, get to the mic before you start talking. Yeah, that's the mic. Yeah.
April of last year, I had reached out to Jake. We're talking about OJ leading up to a 30-year anniversary, and I said, Jake, I think it would be amazing. I could have my dad come in the studio and bring some of the evidence that he has. And he said, awesome. Hey, send me an email. Traded some emails. I kind of got ghosted.
Oh,
and
then he passed.
2 months later, then he passed.
So you're telling me we could have had William Deere on the program?
This is not
He is the most charismatic deer, so we'll try to live up to that.
But somebody got a little busy.
Yeah, a little busy.
Seems
April was
like-
busy.
Thanks, pal.
He sets the mic down.
Thank you. Yep.
Look, 2024, not the year of Jake.
So you're stuck.
Nobody's ever saying it was.
You're stuck hearing me talk about the book instead of the person who wrote it, and visited the crime scene, was face to face with who he thinks did it.
Okay, we'll hear about that.
I'll do my best.
We'll hear about that in a little bit. Let's do a weekend check. It'll be brought to us today by Fairlease.
Feliz Navidad.
Fairlease.org actually is where you can go. That's where you can go instead of going like dealership to dealership to dealership on a hot, sticky weekend.
Or even just talking about doing it online. You're searching around website to website. You're going to accept these cookies? I don't know.
And as
time
soon as
and
you
time
do,
again.
they are bombarding you with phone calls and
Doesn't sound
texts
fair.
and emails.
Doesn't sound fair. Fairlease.org, it's one-stop shop. You can do it from your phone right there. They'll make this easy. They'll give you your trade-in value. You can even have the vehicle delivered right to your doorstep, or perhaps go to one of your enemies' homes and stunt on them at Fairlease.org. They are Texas proud. That means they're affiliated with the Credit Union of Texas. So you're supporting Texas. You're supporting fairness when you lease your next vehicle at Fairlease.org. I'm trying to find these emails, Blake. I'll go first. I had a pretty quick one. As I informed you guys, I was solo part of the weekend. Friday night, I was straight up solo. And I went home after our fantastic time at the Constellation Club. Good time had by me. I guess that's all I can really speak for. And I just went home, posted up, no kids, and just started running through the documentary train.
Okay.
And then pretty much just crashed. Had to get the kids early the next morning.
What documentaries were you hitting?
I'm done with Karen Reed. Like I said, I'm done with Bin Laden. And then I guess I watched like a couple talk shows. But time was not a thing for me. I fell asleep at 9, woke up at 2, went back to bed at 6, whatever.
That's weird.
Picked up the kids at 9, and I did try to plan a dad party. So I had like 4 or 5 dudes and their kids come over, and that just killed the whole day. The pool is a cheat code, dude.
Yes.
It's an undefeated cheat code. Because other people who might not really want to come over, well, if they don't have a pool, now they're coming over. Now they're bringing their kids, and now watching my kids is not a beating.
And you could shop for your next vehicle right there.
You could. I did, yeah.
Fairlease.org.
That's exactly right.
At the pool.
It was a Kumar Rocker start, so, everybody was hyped for that Saturday afternoon.
I watched the first, I only watched like a half hour of the Bin Laden documentary. Mm-hmm. But I got to just say, I was telling you last night on the phone, just the first 15 minutes setting up the hunt for because it's like called Hunt for Bin Laden or something.
It's American Manhunt, which actually has done an OJ. It's the same thing. They've done OJ. They've done a couple of other criminals.
But certain movies will set up something, and then you get the movie title is at 15 minutes in because they had to. That's the way this is, and it's incredible 15-minute recap on what led to that point. And yeah,
it's worth your time.
I thought it was just that was amazing, and then it's great because I'm watching that concurrently with I'm still working through World War II in color on Netflix, and I gotta admit, I didn't know about the Battle of Midway, bro. Good. I think the Pacific
underrated
battles are underrated because perhaps we focus a lot on Normandy and Germany and all that, but that was pretty badass. The whole they thought they were sucking us into something, but we were sucking them into something, and it was a good war weekend.
Oh yeah, big time. Big war memes. Did you see? I loved people putting whoever it was in charge of Japan at the time, just putting him on Trump's tweet, but making it about Pearl Harbor.
Oh yeah.
Time for peace is now.
Yeah,
everybody chill out.
We've now bombed you. Now it's time for peace. Not to break into full TV talk here, but have you seen the full season of Tires?
No, I'm about halfway through.
Okay, well then I'd like to wait on my review of the season finale until you have watched it as well.
Okay. Well, with all this newfound time, since I've been waiting for someone to ask me, hey, where were all these books you were reading? You weren't really telling us about it.
Yeah, you did say.
How did I free up all this time by?
So if people haven't heard, Jake has retired from reading.
Books.
Okay.
Books. I read a lot this weekend.
You've just quit books?
Yes. The pressure of books. Because you've always got a book, you're like, well, I need to be reading this book. I've got 2 of them right now.
Yeah.
I'm quitting. It probably was the last time you made the very fair SNL book joke of, was that in the book that you started reading 10 years ago and will never finish? That's when I thought, we're done.
I think it is literally 10 years ago.
It's about that.
Because that's when I read it, and afterwards you were like, yeah, I'll read this too. It sounds great. And it is great.
So
Why wouldn't you finish
the thing
it?
I wanted to tell you guys about from weekend, though, was yesterday, so wife came home from her party weekend. And I was already, I was in bad shape because, as I told you guys, I got the kid getting out of bed and potty training at the same time. So he's coming in my room at 2 a.m., and he's ready to party. And I'm, kind of up for it. Last night when he went to bed, Kristen was putting him down, and he was like, when I have to pee, I'll get up, get Dad, we go watch Cars.
Oh, man. See, that's...
Because at 2 a.m., 3 of the last 4...
You rewarded it.
I know.
The fact that you did it once.
I know.
Yes. Now this... Oh, so this is what happens?
I know.
That's why you got to beat him.
I know.
That's what
on the
our
docket for
parents
tonight.
would have done, right? How about I
So-
get out the belt and teach you about this, son?
I was tired, but then the wife came home from party weekend, and my mom wanted to watch the kids a little bit, so I was as free as can get from about noon, 12:30 on tomorrow for basically the rest of the day. And that's when I experienced or did something terrible, which is the regret nap. A nap should be a rewarding,
Yep.
fulfilling, relaxing time.
What do you mean regret?
But it's
I
not.
knew that I had a lot of shit that I wanted to get done over the next 5 hours, and I had a complete runway to do it. But I woke up, and 3 of those hours were gone, and I was so pissed.
3 hours?
Yeah.
That's insane.
got-
I hadn't slept.
You gotta set an alarm.
I was going to say that ruins your night, getting to bed that night.
I mean, I worked it out, but my point is just like, I have the whole day. I can work. Probably almost always you're missing a workout, and that's going to make you feel even worse because instead of working out, you not only didn't work out, you laid there like a fat fuck, and your mouth's all dry because you're napping. Your clothes are on. You have a belt on. That's not sleeping. It's horrible.
Sleeping with. That's a good gauge on whether or not it's a good sleep.
Yeah, if you have
Did
a
you
belt
sleep
on,
with a
you
belt
are
on?
100% not relaxing.
Yeah.
And you wake up and you're just pissed. Like nothing got done. It's a frustrating feeling. Like, did I not caffeinate properly? It's just a waste of time.
For my weekend check, I do want to just a shout out to the Constellation Club, a little post game, our Friday program. We did from like 3 to 6, so a little late for some people's tastes. But you know, that's what we are. We're mobile. We can be where you want, when you want us. Look at where we are right now.
That's right.
We are in the middle of Texas.
Mount Calm. No, it was a good time. I met, we have an emailer who emails every week. I believe he currently 55. His wife is 35. I don't recall their names, but
Very nice.
She said that I had maybe called her a dirty name.
I think you called her a crazy bitch.
Yeah, when emailing one year, and she said, like, I'm that and worse, and I'm your worst nightmare. She was a lot, and I was scared, and I will not call her that again.
I thought they were fun.
They were very fun.
Yeah.
Guys living the dream.
I do want to let people know when we're at events or when you run into us, some of us at Lowe's or wherever it is, because I was walking. So when I got there, I ran into a guy in the parking garage. And the parking garage, you get some steps if you're going to go to the Constellation Club.
It's for fit people.
Yeah, you got to first you go to Game Day Men's Health, and then you go to the Constellation Club. There's no doubt a bunch of people at the Constellation Club are also clients of Game Day Men's Health.
Yeah, people living their best life.
The Venn diagram, yes, there's a lot of crossover there because it helps you stay strong. So I'm walking with this guy, and after a few pleasant, like he had a Dumb Zone shirt. So he's clearly there for us. He's wearing shorts. Like, I don't think the Constellation Club has ever seen that many pairs of shorts in one sitting. I don't know
call
how
the
it
fire
is, but
marshal.
it feels high-toned.
Yeah.
And then we were there with our crew. And then it was kind of like a 10-minute walk, kind of uncomfortable. Like, I was talking to him a little bit. And then I ran into him later, like hours later. And he said, oh, man, I didn't want to beat you down when we were walking about this or that or the ticket or this. And I'm like, man, that's what we had. Did you think I'd rather ask, like, where you lived and about your – like,
have any of your kids died?
I'm just – yeah, like, that'll just get me in trouble. You already know a lot. Like, and that's – I don't know anything. As you know, you're a big listener. So the things I do know are, inner workings of the ticket. You want to know something about that? You want to know something about our contract negotiations that we've never talked about on the – that's your time. That's your – I'll open up to you. I'll tell you just about anything.
Grounding?
You want to talk about grounding?
The drive? Your asses there are asses
were you
are
very,
there to be whipped.
were you upset at the? Yes, I was upset. I was at the drive. We drove home on side streets. It was terrible. So yes, I want to talk about that kind of stuff. You think it's beating us down? It is not. Like that's all I got. So don't worry about it, please.
Yeah, I mean,
That's just my message to those that we meet in the future that say, I don't want to beat you down.
that is a problem that is unique to you because, in my experience, roughly 95% of the world is trying to stop drinking. So I kind of have a.
Everybody that comes up to you, you're like, hey, dude.
The worst is, and I don't say
I'm with
worst. I just want to tell everyone, like, I don't think I ever told you guys this story, but we were in group one day, and there was a guy who worked there. He was an old man. I probably did tell you guys this. He was drive the golf cart around, drive you to the doctor if somebody had to go to town. Old, retired, like Air Force veteran, Mexican guy. And he spoke up at AA one night because he just wanted to be, like, relating to us. And his story was that his wife is consistently having 2 margaritas a night. And he's like, I don't know, should I be concerned? Like, we're like, bud, no, that's not sending you to rehab. But people will come up to me
He was not an alcoholic?
No, he worked there.
Oh, okay.
He was a guy who drove the golf cart. Like, he
all
was
right.
a security, whatever. And we're all talking, and he's like, yeah, my wife, I don't know, man. Should I be concerned? My point in this is people will come up to me while they're having beers and be like, I promise I'm trying to cut back. I'm like, please don't. Don't tell me that.
Had another guy run into me there and said, hey, I saw you at the ice cream place with your daughter, and so I didn't want to bother you. I'm like, dude, you have to validate that I'm somewhat famous. If you do just at least say something, then
Yeah, but can you fault anyone with the context we've laid for
the
being
daughter. Yeah,
I mean, I know him, and I don't want to talk to him.
Yeah, that's true. And then here's 2 other quick hits, and then tomorrow I'm just going to tease, or for later in the week, because I spent quite a bit of yesterday at the mall, and it's too much topics for today.
The mall?
I actually went to the mall for the first time in a long time, and I have a review of the mall, a full review of the mall.
Can you at least can we whet the appetite by telling us which one?
Grapevine.
Okay, Grapevine Mills.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a mall to be
It's thriving.
explored.
But yes, I have a lot. I have a lot from the mall. So get excited for that. I tried the sauna for the first time, went to the gym on Saturday.
Forgot you texted me about that.
Jake has been telling me for months, dude, you got to do the sauna. I'm like, all right, yeah, whatever. I don't know. Do they have a sauna at the 24-hour? They do. I learned that. Got to go through the pool to get there.
Well, not like you got to walk.
You don't have to swim. Yeah, you can walk around the pool, but I just never knew where the sauna was.
Yeah.
Because I've never been at the pool. They have a really tiny little skinny pool. It's weird. It's just
it looks like
two-lane
a rehab pool.
It's
or
a
something.
2-lane pool, yeah. And it's really hot if you're in the sauna. But I also didn't know, I didn't get undressed. My experience with the sauna is old men
Right.
naked or just wearing a towel. But this is by the pool where men and women can walk in. So I just walked in after working out, went in there for a few minutes, was texting Jake, worrying about my phone. And I stayed for about 5 or 6 minutes, and it was pretty brutally hot. I didn't know what to do afterwards. Are you supposed to cold bath it after?
Yeah. I mean,
But anyway, I just left.
Yeah, I
But
think.
Just wanted to tell you that I tried the sauna.
Well, I'm happy for you. I don't know how much 5 minutes does at the end of the.
What are you supposed to do?
20.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I couldn't bring in my phone then, I don't think.
I mean, I put it in my pocket, and if it stops working, it stops working. It's just not gonna. It just is like if it's outside, it just says, chill out, bro.
But saunas, yeah.
That's the guy that spent some of his weekend at the Apple store. I don't know if you want to listen to him. Hey, just take your phone into 150 degrees. That'll be good for it.
Do you still have Tiny Computer?
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
It was like 4 weeks ago.
Weren't you telling us that you took your computer into the sauna?
Did you?
Yeah, dude. I took my headset.
All right. So, but then last night, this is my last weekend thing. Or maybe this was Saturday night. I can't remember. My dog, I have 2 dogs, 2 toy poodles. One is Kip, one is Bodie. And Kip is the only one that'll chew bones and things like that. And so I'm hearing chewing, but I don't care because that's his bit. Chews very loud. And then after a while, it just seemed excessive and it was long. And I was like, it also sounds different. There was a little bit of a different tone to it. And so then I had to go around and look at it, and oh my gosh, it's funny, this is for later in the week too. Emu Tom, had snail mailed us a box, and there's something in there that I will present to you guys later in the week. But in it are a lot of packing peanuts. And for some reason, my dog just started eating them, like a lot of them.
Yeah.
Those will be fun.
And he's pounding them. And my dog also has like an iron gut. Like a few weeks ago, he ate some chocolate. And so my wife got really concerned and is reading internet. And then she made him drink peroxide because supposedly that's supposed to make him puke. He never puked. And there was no problem with it. Like, he ate chocolate
what's more
in the foil wrapper. He ate the foil wrapper. He ate the chocolate.
Chased
this
it
was
with peroxide.
weeks ago. Yeah, then he drank a bunch of peroxide, and he's just fine. He's like the norm of dogs.
That's awesome.
Norm Hitchkus could eat anything. So he ate a ton of packing peanuts. Like, I don't know how many. And so I'm online, and this isn't the only dog who has done that. But it was at night. And, I'm might have had some Earlybird gummies. I'm, not in the mood to deal with this, let alone anything. And I'm thinking about driving to the animal hospital and all this kind of stuff. And then thinking, I don't know, I've had this dog a long time. It's been a good run. Why would I have to even, if he died, whatever, I'll get a new one. It'll be fun. But I thought I shouldn't do that.
Isn't it great that you can search anything on the internet and it's happened to someone else? Like, we live in a great era. Because if it was 2008, you have to go to a Yahoo board and see if someone had posted that, and there's a message board. Now it's just, here's an article, here AI will summarize it. It's a great time to be alive.
It is great. And I saw, it might not have been great, but I saw a lady or somebody who, it's probably a lady, who said they called this happened to their dog. They called the ER vet. She informed me that if the packing peanuts disintegrate, they're made of cornstarch, so the dog should be okay. Apparently, there are 2 kinds of packing peanuts.
Now you got to Google.
Or if it's styrofoam, that's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, I just Googled on Blake's point because something about that peroxide thing seemed not right to me, and it's not right. You should not do that.
I should not give the dog peroxide?
No.
Oh, wow.
But you said your wife looked that one up. That's why I figured either it didn't get looked. It sounds very wives' tale-y, right? Like, even recently.
I did it. I remember my old dog, Cornelius.
Yeah.
We did that once because he ate a tray full of something, but he also might have just puked because he ate a tray full of something.
Right. And, I told you guys Nora got stung by the jellyfish, and you always hear to urinate on it. It's not true. And I tried to explain that to a couple of our other family members, and they're like, it is. And my proof is internet, so who's right? But I think giving peroxide to an animal is a bad idea, confirmed by science.
Well, he seems fine.
He's undefeated.
And then they write in this Reddit post, so I found a packing peanut, ran it underwater, and it did disintegrate. That saved me a trip to the vet. So that's what I did. I took one of the peanuts, put it underwater, and yes,
stem work.
It disintegrates. And then I felt very at ease, not worried about having to go to the vet.
Then you actually just replaced all of both of their food with packing peanuts.
Right, why
now
not?
Knowing that they're simply a
flavored
peanuts. Cornstarchy treat. Here he is, folks.
Clayton is holding a mic. Seems like he wants to get in here.
Can we just go ahead and say Jake's in his burger era, correct?
Yeah.
You missed a prime burger Friday.
What are we looking at?
The El Gallo from Constellation Club.
Oh.
Now, did you learn? You did not learn about this on Reddit /
No, I learned about
fast
this
food.
firsthand.
Okay.
Their food did look amazing.
Wagyu beef patty,
Ooh, Dan, you know about that Wagyu.
Yeah, I do.
barbacoa underneath it,
What?
fried egg, and a pepper jam, like a spicy jalapeno pepper jam on top.
That's right up my alley, Dan.
And
Where do you fall on putting eggs on everything? The fried egg.
I'm pro.
You are?
Yeah, I love it.
It's an easy,
I'm just
easy little protein. Good for you, right?
love it. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know how great the fried egg is, but it's better than. But it feels like it's from the makers of bacon.
Yeah, I just feel like we're over baconed. You don't put a fried egg on lobster or shrimp, but people will just like, hey, I don't know about this awesome seafood. I should wrap bacon around it. Like, no. That's
Fair.
not how this works.
You ever had egg on pizza?
No.
Dude, in
Really?
like in Switzerland, which I guess is just kind of fake Italy, they'll crack I guess it's fried, but I don't know, man. Something they're doing on top of the mozzarella. They've got just a nice even egg laid out.
Some brunch places will do a
yeah,
breakfast pizza,
yeah.
and it's fantastic.
But it is that, but it's also not just breakfast pizza. It's pizza with an egg on it. It's phenomenal.
yeah, no, I've had that before, but
El Gallo at Constellation.
yep, give it a shot. If you're there, please go and try it.
This guy knows how to back sell.
So I've got a bad bit that I encountered in my algorithm over the weekend. And it comes from an author, Caitlin Brooke, C-A-Y-T. Is this just Caitlin? My goodness. Caitlin Brooke. 30,000 followers, ton of tweets, has written 7 books. I think she's just an ordinary author.
Bro, I saw this. Is this okay? Go ahead.
I would like to chalk it up as a bad bit. Okay? Most of her tweets, 100 likes, 200 likes, tweets a lot of pictures. She'll just take a picture of herself holding one of her books and say, "Happy Monday, here's to reading your special book today." Well, she posted a picture online. This was about a week ago. It's her in what looks like an empty bookstore, and it says, "No one showed up for my book reading event. I know this happens, and I'm trying really hard to keep it together, but I feel terrible that the shop stayed open to host me for nothing." And in this era of social media, this has 22 million views, 12,000 retweets, 400,000 likes, and her book popped over the weekend.
Yeah.
So basically, hey, these people are being mean to me or people are not being nice to me. Make me feel better online. And they do. And they rush to buy her book. And this reward, just like Carter watching Cars at 2 a.m., you're rewarding this behavior by buying this person's book.
And she has a bad book. It's not good. Nobody wanted to hear her read it.
Okay, that doesn't mean she has a bad book, but
Here's her bio. Lover of dark fantasy worlds, orange cats, and Earl Grey tea, horror enthusiast.
listen, they could not have created
horror
more.
enthusiast.
They could not have created a more basic white woman. That's why Hillary lost. If we tried, we all agree on that. I'm just continuously amazed by all we hear about is how negative social media
That's
is
what
and
I
how
wanted to say.
terrible and rude and how it's tearing apart the fabric of discourse. But every time someone does something super gay, they make $1 million.
Yeah.
Because everyone's like, very good for you. We're going to lift you up.
It's always with bad bits.
It is.
Every bad bit is rewarded.
And sometimes, like, I get it if it's a sick kid, then you're like, ah. But this is just a lady saying nobody showed up. Okay, well, you go back, you show up again tomorrow. You just keep grinding. She's been at 1 million of these things.
Right. It's not her first rodeo.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, if you post, hey, nobody sent my kid a such and such. Every other kid in the class, then you get 10,000 of them. And
What if a
and
comedian
Michelle Obama sends you something. Then it's like, that's a bad bit, but fine, whatever.
What if a comedian bombed on stage tonight, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. Yeah, it just feels,
Or, I mean,
you
us,
have bad times.
No one listened to today's episode. We worked really hard on it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Sorry, maybe the episode sucked.
right. You ever consider that your book sucks? And that you suck?
And then now, yeah, she's just constantly tweeting how she's blowing up.
Yeah. No, this is horrible. Jake, I don't know if this made it to your atmosphere over there, but it was a bad week or a bad weekend for the crunchy or granola community. Because this article came out that states glass bottles found to have 5 to 50 times as many microplastics as plastic bottles in shocking new study.
Oh, no.
Did you show your wife?
Not yet.
Okay.
She's not ready.
No. Long weekend at work. I didn't want to hit her with this. But I'll be sending it to her shortly because, yeah, our cupboard, whatever, is just full of glass containers now.
Yeah, I showed you guys my organized Tupperware for Father's Day the other day, and my wife was pissed that I didn't confirm that they are glass. She doesn't want to be looked at as a plastic owner.
And so, yeah, it says glass bottles. I would imagine it's the same thing as the glass container that we're microwaving. But yeah, not
Yeah,
great.
what are we going to throw away all the glass stuff we have now? And
now we're going
get
back
plastic?
to plastic? I don't
This
know.
is kind of like the, how do you lose weight? Oh, you have to eliminate fat from your diet. No, now you have to eliminate
I need good fat.
carbs. Yeah, now you have to eliminate. It's just calories. It doesn't matter. Carbs or fat. It doesn't matter what you eat. It's just count calories. Like there's all those different things in the eras.
For a long time, I feel like, well, we haven't been around that long, but the ethos of this show is just none of it. Nothing matters. Nothing.
That's
None of it.
that's basically what I arrive at whenever I open up your Yuka app and find out that even Honey Nut Cheerios are poor.
Trash. Food. Capitalist food to make you sick.
There's nothing I can eat out there that's good and enjoyable.
I bet
And
out
so-
here they eat off the land.
Well, yeah.
Live off the land.
Yeah.
Use every part of the buffalo.
All right. And then my last thing is we have now entered the age where I'm now nervous when Brooks talks to other people because of what he might say.
Because he's hearing at home.
I don't mind that. Like if he curses or something. In fact, he is now, which I think is pretty funny. But I'm getting this secondhand. And while he was out with my wife the other day, a full-blown midget walked by. And Brooks, what I had hoped would happen is, why is
Dap
that
him up.
person so short? Are they 3 like me? Whatever. But he opted for the, and I kid you not, this is what she said, the full point and laugh.
My kid got in trouble at Montessori school for doing that.
I don't-
It was the first, little person she had ever seen, and yeah.
I'd
But I
never-
remember that. I remember that day.
I'd never seen him or heard about him pointing and laughing at anything. But as they go waltzing by, he is.
Why'd you say you said waltz as if when they walk it's sort of a whimsical,
I don't think they have the
fantastical-
same gait as we do.
You're saying a little person cannot powerfully walk?
No.
Okay, I'm just asking.
I think their dimensions keep them from doing that. I think they walk differently than we do.
There's
Can I
so
say that?
much
I think
interesting here.
if I walked a mile with a little person they'd get more steps,
Sure.
and that's unfortunate.
But you would cover
For
more
me.
ground if you're going for miles.
No, but I'm saying we're just walking together,
But
talking.
step as a unit of measurement, Dan would be losing.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, so this is another thing where the regular-sized white male in America doesn't have it as good as everyone else.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot here. The first thing I'm thinking is, how did Brooks immediately know?
I don't know either.
I mean, was he talking and was it seriously high pitched?
No.
Or they
No,
don't
I
all do
think-
that
No,
either?
I think they
a
were just-
little person looks like an adult who is
I know
small.
to us, but if you've never seen it before, I don't know how you would immediately.
Well,
just be
apparently
like,
we're learning that
it's there.
it's a funny thing to see.
Yeah. Well,
And my wife debated like stopping her and saying I'm sorry.
yeah.
I told her to go with the Dan McDowell route and don't apologize because she might not have seen or heard.
And it's not just that they might not have seen or heard. I think it's, jokes aside, kind of tough for us to really weigh in on this as the people Dan just described. But I get the sense from a lot of people who do have, whether it's a disability or anything that makes people look at them, like they'd prefer you not apologize. Like they're just
Okay.
I won't say used to it, but they get it.
Yeah.
Listen, dude, every midget knows that when they were 3, if they were a regular-sized person and they saw a person with dwarfism, they would be like, that is hilarious. They know. You know what I mean?
I hope so.
It's different if it's like a race thing. Like if your kid clearly is like, ha-ha, or like talking down to somebody. But if it's just like, look, that's funny. And I'll tell you what, this is why, as much as I do support trans rights, I do at times think we have to stop and just say, like, it's going to take us some time to adjust. Because it's, in a vacuum, very funny that Bruce Jenner is a woman now.
It's hilarious.
And, like, we should be allowed to catch up, comedy-wise.
Yeah.
You think my kid's going to handle it well if one year
mean,
a kid
there's-
comes back and is a boy instead of a girl?
Bruce Jenner especially. There's a lot funny about that.
Well, that gets funny because he's also, like, anti-trans, or she is.
Yeah,
rather.
but it's not that. Yeah, it's the history of Bruce Jenner. It's all that entails. We can say Bruce Jenner is exceptionally funny.
Yeah.
Like maybe the funniest trans person in the world.
It's tailor-made. It feels like a psyop. But, I mean, if anything, Blake, your wife could have stopped and said it's a little bit weird that they were dressed and walking with, like, 6 other dwarves and a lady.
Yeah.
Like, that was
You're asking for it
a bit much.
at that point.
Hey, one other thing that happened for me this weekend is that I did not die. And I really thank Community Mechanical for that because when we first had them over for some preventative maintenance, that's what they would like you to sign up for at the very minimum when you check out communitydfw.com. They, like their very first visit to my house, they found an exhaust duct in my furnace that was loose and is basically dumping carbon monoxide into the attic. And that's not good, apparently, according to Travis at Community Mechanical.
You could have prevented that with a little maintenance.
That's right. That's why you should sign up, just to see. Just get everything in check. Get yourself ready for the big, hot, searing summer, which is pretty much here now.
And get $50 in merch with that preventative maintenance, or sign up not sign up, get your system replaced, get a $6.90 sit-in. I got a system. Hey, that regret nap I was telling you about, it was only possible because I was so comfortable sitting there cool in my office, thanks to Community Mechanical. CommunityDFW.com. Hit up Travis at 469-667-7290. They'll take care of you.
You could even text that number, right?
You can.
Yeah.
You really can. Cyber dust pending.
Isn't that crazy?
It's normal. Most of these companies are using what's called a CRM. It's like
4669-667-7219. HVAC for me, HVAC for you.
What?
The hell was that?
I don't know. I mean,
Oh, yeah, I like that.
I put stuff in the folder. He plays it. It was a big sports weekend.
There was an NBA Finals.
It really was. For about 7 minutes.
Very disappointing, yes. When something like that happens, especially in that game, you want to know that both teams were at full strength. You want to.
Yeah, but that's never happening, and the best team won. So it's still I heard the Hoop Collective guys, one of them say best playoffs run without a title, and it's got to be up there.
Indiana?
Yeah, from the 3
Obviously,
seed
you
to
couldn't have been saying.
Yeah, but it's still storybook. I think if they had won last night without Halliburton, I would have begrudgingly put them a step ahead of the Mavs. I think it would have been close, but now they don't have the same murderer's row. I would put the Mavs competition in 2011 up against theirs, but losing your star in a Game 7 would be a little bit more than what the Mavs put up with, but it'd be on par at least with Dallas.
It is interesting that they were able to win a title, but the Durant, Westbrook, Harden team was never able to win a title. Only went to one finals, right?
Mm-hmm.
the year after the Mavs.
So much of the NBA, and I guess you could say this about any sport, but it's just timing. You know, there's just how many teams in the West were title worthy during Jordan's run, or in the East during the Showtime Lakers run. It's the way it works. I mean, hell, the Mavs were good enough to win more than one title. They had the second most wins in basketball for 20 years. Just doesn't always work out.
Dude, though, speaking of the Mavs, I mean, I kept thinking that all yesterday. Like, the Mavs could have gotten past Oklahoma City.
They could have.
Don't know if they would have, but I think they would have had as good of a chance as anybody, especially because they kind of own them. They're kind of their dad as far as, they're in their heads a little bit. It would have been a big thing for Oklahoma City to get past the Mavs in the playoffs. And just Luke, the roster construction, not now. Now it's shit. But what it was, I really think they could have been back there this year and won it all, man.
Yeah.
I really think, it makes me very, very sad because I know there's some optimism with people who currently identify as Mavs fans, which I do not. But I feel like it's got a lot of work to do, and there's a lot more uncertainty as far as Anthony Davis and Kyrie staying healthy for a whole year and a whole playoff run, way more than Luka at the age of 26,
Yeah, well, good luck to him.
I'm just telling you, it just got me thinking more that everything NBA does make me sad, and especially last night because I'm like, God, what if the Mavs had that? Oklahoma City would have been the toughest test, and if they got past them, I think they definitely beat Indiana.
Yeah, Indiana, Boston staying healthy could have been a problem, but that just lets you know how fleeting all this is. Boston was set up great. Boston has, I don't know, maybe a chance next year, but Boston's going to be probably third or fourth at best projection for win total. Tatum missing almost a whole year. Now here comes Halliburton missing a whole year. This is why you don't trade your superstar, because their seasons are it's gold. It can get you to the finals. And the things I was thinking about last night were, hey, Nico was actually trying to force Luka back when he had a calf injury, and Luka was on his timetable, and you can argue with that. But Tyrese Halliburton rushed back and admitted as much and knew the risks, and now his Achilles is popped, and they're no longer a contender next year.
Is that the same thing that happened to KD?
Yeah.
In the finals one year? The Toronto finals?
And Clay? Did that happen to him too?
When KD limped out there to take free throws or something?
The KD one for sure.
What happened to Kyrie this year? Different?
ACL.
ACL, that's right. Yeah, because he may be back. But Jeff Stotts, the sports doctor on Twitter, says this is the 8th tear of the season for the Achilles. Previous high was 5 in 14-15. It just seems like it's happening a lot, but the sample size is pretty small, so it may be random. But
3 in the playoffs, right?
Yeah. But if you just look at the way this sets up, having Luka would have been the best player on the floor last night, which is why you would have felt confident. And Luka's going to miss a full season at some point too. You almost just have to figure, that's the norm.
That's the whole bit. Go back to Luka again. That if you have the best player on the floor, you have a chance. Even when it's Luka surrounded by the poo-poo that he used to be surrounded by,
Blake and Garza's Cardinals.
When they
don't put that on Reggie Bullock.
Got to the Western Conference Championship that one
Out
year.
of the league?
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Is just
I know SGA was the MVP, but Luka would have been the best player on the floor.
Yeah.
Okay? He is not a better player than Luka. And nobody in the NBA thinks that. He is.
So,
and I hate him. I don't like SGA, and I'll tell you what. Seeing him and all his teammates wearing goggles in their celebration is really all I need to know.
Yeah.
But that's fitting,
pretty lame.
Right?
Yeah, well, it's fitting because they're lame.
Yeah.
They're lame. We should have, if you're going to be like the young, I want them to be excited. They're not even really that exciting. They're first sip of champagne. I'm not saying you have to be like a drunk to be fun, but their team is just too dorky. Their AT&T commercials suck. SGA's not even really that exciting of a player to me. Harden was a more exciting foul hunter than SGA to me. Harden was a more exciting
he's like
player.
fun to watch.
Yeah, infuriating maybe, but fun. There's just nothing fun about their team to me. Like, I wish they still had Steven Adams.
Yeah.
You know? Something. But no. And I think right now they're as set up as any team in the history of professional sports, at least in the modern era where we've had free agency and trades and the like. There's never been a team that is this set up while already winning a title. They're about 3 years ahead of schedule.
Right, usually
they're
you got
the second youngest team in the league.
You've got all your assets to be able to win a title.
They still have the most assets, and pretty much everyone on their team is on the front end of their career outside of Caruso. Holmgren's going to get hurt every year, but who cares? Because they'll have 5 other guys. People will start getting expensive, and they'll replace them with first-round picks. And there's really nobody in the West to stop them outside of maybe the team that popped over the weekend with the trade of Kevin Durant to Houston, which I don't even know that I'm ready to, if you want to fully digest that one.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, Durant's still really good. It's funny, a little bit funny, but more maddening. And it's just somebody on Twitter, but it makes me mad that, like, I thought you couldn't just trade a superstar for only one first-round pick in the return. If you think this is the same person, then you're an idiot, and I'm probably the idiot for actually even responding in this forum to this stupid tweet. Well,
if you want to make yourself feel better, what I thought you were going to say is that it bothers you that Kevin Durant replies to people.
No.
Because I actually think it's awesome now. Because some random will tweet him, and he'll quote tweet it and be like,
it's funny.
Yeah.
It's funny. I think he thinks it's funny, too.
He does.
I don't know. I don't think he's actually that mad at things.
I don't think he's mad. He's just like people,
He just wants to show that people are idiots.
Yeah, Kay Adams is like, I'm sure there's a lot of hurt Suns fans. And he's like, no, there's not. He's like, they want to be gone. I'm gone. Let's be done with it.
I'm glad you brought that up because he was at some
Fanatics Fest.
Right. And I thought this was fitting of the era we're in because he's traded, and one of the first things I see is he's at Fanatics Fest. Kay Adams puts a microphone in his face, and rather than him be honest and open, he's got to do this.
Can I introduce you for the first time ever, maybe, as Houston Rocket Kevin Durant?
That's it. That would be very fitting right now, yeah.
What does that feel like? It happened moments ago here at Fanatics Fest. What is going on?
Fanatics Fest is crazy. If you haven't been here and been tapped in,
he still has to do the bid.
Got to do the promo.
Like me getting traded, but being a part.
When you come to Fanatics Fest, you never know who'll get traded. Come on out while you still can.
I have a theory. That dude who owns Fanatics, Michael Rubin, has I feel like he has some sort of Leonardo DiCaprio and Django shit going on. I don't like it, guys. I don't like it at all. I don't like that white party.
Micah was there.
I know he was. So was Dez a couple years ago, where it's just 97% of the attendees are black athletes, and they're all wearing all white, and then here's just Michael Rubin in his all white, and he's hanging out. I don't know what it is, but I don't like the guy, and there's something weird about it. And the way that Kevin Durant just sounded like a programmed robot there. Please come out to Fanatics Fest where you never know what will happen. He's Kevin Durant. He should be in charge.
Money's in charge, bro.
Look out for this.
Okay, so it was Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, the number 10 pick in this year's draft, which is in 2 days. What the hell are we doing? How is that the same week that they award the championship trophy? Let them have – they're going to probably have to have the parade on the day of the draft. You need a couple days to plan a parade, don't you, or to get people settled? I don't know.
The Thunder already had their buses wrapped. You see, Carlisle
got things done early.
Wasn't thrilled about that.
No.
Yeah, the buses were wrapped, and there was a video on social media, and Carlisle was all. He might have been doing Carlisle bits, but he was all pissed about it.
Wonder if they started doing that, we're up 10 here in the fourth quarter.
It was pregame.
It was pregame.
Oh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was pregame.
Yeah.
That's way
Let me
different.
see if this will play, Blake.
He gets to the arena and he sees the buses already.
That's baller.
Already wrapped.
Coach, yesterday you talked about your love pressure. video that's probably going to go viral of some buses, open top buses, presumably for their parade, that are already painted with them as champions. So that's all I'm thinking about right now.
Okay, well, here's another one to put in the category of this stuff doesn't really mean anything. Because had they lost, that bus wrap would absolutely be pointed at as the motivation and the reason, whether it's bad karma for Oklahoma City to even do it, or motivational karma for Indiana to fight through this devastating injury to win, because that was just too much. Because it's just like when the city of Dallas planned a parade in 2006, and the media got a hold of that. Then it was all blamed on Mayor Laura Miller at the time, because had they not done that, certainly it had actually had zero impact.
This is a little bit different because it is the coach actually trying to use it as opposed to like us in the media. But you're right. I mean, it's narrative hunting. But
I'm sure Pat Riley, if that was a public thing, told his team about that.
Yeah.
But then later it would be like, see,
but isn't it
that
possible,
riled them up enough to
I don't
win.
want to be pedantic, but isn't it possible? Because I feel like you're looking for it to be an A or B, and because that's the way it's told. But what if it does make you try harder and you still don't win? Can you say like, that did kind of piss me off, but
it absolutely. That's what I'm saying. I bet you they did. Or can we now say it put too much? I don't know.
It's silly, but Carlisle's going to use it.
But I mean, Joe Namath predicted they would win the Super Bowl. Then they won the Super Bowl.
Right.
How many guys have predicted their team would win a big game, but you never hear about it because they didn't win that big game? So that is my point.
I thought the other funny thing in that clip, by the way, was I think that was an Asian reporter, and she did a really good job fighting through, sticking to a very specific basketball question, and he just is like, whatever. I'm just not interested. 7th different champ, 7 years. 11 of 14 teams. I heard Bontemps had that stat. That's the first time that's ever happened.
Yeah.
That's good stuff, man.
Is it? I don't know.
It's good stuff unless you were one of the teams that was in position to win it for like the next 10 years, and now you're not, and then it probably bums you out. But I do think it's good for the league. I think it's cool.
It'll be interesting. Yes, this team looks like it could run off multiple championships.
You always got to, I know.
But if they don't, then that'll be pretty interesting because they did put together such a strong team. Back to Durant just for a second, though, and why you should still hate Nico. They did get they got 2 players, the first-round pick this year, which is the number 10 pick, which is not bad, and 5 second-round pick. The point is, get a ton of stuff. Make it at least look big. Even second-round picks.
Yeah.
Because that's – like, get every single thing that the Lakers could have parted with because they would have, because you were handing them this get-out-of-NBA depths for free card, because that's where they were heading. You were about to see an era of the NBA where the Lakers were kind of irrelevant, because even when they sucked, and let's remember this, Kobe Shills, when they had Kobe – they were winning like 33 games a year for a good little stretch. So they sucked. But they were NBA relevant because they had Kobe. They would have not had that. They would have not had the next great player. They would not have a superstar.
I actually don't agree.
They would have 36-year-old Anthony Davis. Are you saying somebody would have just gone there because they're the Lakers?
Yeah, I just never in a million years thought it would be from a team sending them there.
Yeah, I guess some free agent might have said, "Yeah,
yeah,"
I'll go
or
there.
like or Anthony Edwards could have been like, "Fuck you, I want to play for the Lakers. Figure it out."
Yeah,
like
LeBron's
that
gone.
could happen. I just never in a million years imagined it would happen to us, and it would be sending the guy there. You know what I mean? Like, at some point they would have figured it out.
Do you see the other thing regarding this year, just how bad this year has been sports-wise for Dallas?
No. What do you got?
I guess it's Luka traded, Eagles Super Bowl, Oklahoma City winning the title. Like all of that just...
Yeah, conference finals loss for the Stars yet again.
At least Shoddy will pull them out of the...
So at least the grid's holding up.
The Grid's holding up thus far.
You know what? Shout out to the Grid, no doubt.
What's up, Grid? Shout out to
Text
Greg Abbott.
Grid.
Hey.
I don't want to give you an early one. I don't want to ruin your news or anything, but
look, man.
A little thumbs up.
I told you.
What's
Case
up,
of the
man?
Mondays? No, sir. But that's really just because
THC.
for me, it was just it was a big weekend to see Scotty back on track at Travelers, the 5th major. Of course, I was locked into this one yesterday afternoon.
You were napping.
It's part of the God, I forgot I already told that story. I guess this is part of the FedEx Cup, which is something. But our buddy Kevin Turner watches golf, and he texted us this yesterday, so I went and found this. It's from the last couple hours of the tournament. And it's a tribute to a man from the corporate world. Now, this is a FedEx Cup, like I said, so it's the guy from FedEx who just died. But before you hear the obit and the tribute, listen to what somebody yells right when this tee shot takes off.
Iran is cooked!
What?
Iran is cooked!
Oh.
Iran is cooked!
Why was the owner of the Clippers there? That sounds like his voice, definitely.
It definitely does. You're right. Yeah, Iran is cooked.
Iran is cooked!
Yeah, wow.
Iran is cooked, Keegan! Iran is cooked!
All 3 good shots here for our final grouping. 3 chances of birdie.
Dude, like that's clearer than any get in the hole Tiger. And this guy's just yelling about like current geopolitical events at Keegan Bradley.
Come on! Get up! Come on, get up! If you're as psyched as I am, get up! Iran is cooked!
And again, just one back.
A little conservative, smart play. To 12.
Okay, so now we're going to go a couple seconds later, the moment that we've all been waiting for.
We are saddened to announce the passing of FedEx founder Fred Smith.
Are we?
Bring
Like,
it down.
who in particular?
Like, do you have a family member that you know will be the one that calls when your grandma dies or something? Like, I think he revels in it.
Yeah.
Like, I have that. I have a guy that wants to be that guy, my cousin. And he, if somebody important died, like, he will be the one that's
flower it up a little.
ruining
Hey.
my day at 2 a.m. because he doesn't wait for the morning like I want him to.
And
like,
he
needs-
he has a memory of you and your uncle that like you don't.
Yeah.
I remember how important it was to you and you guys. You're like, what? Yeah, that's Nance.
But you could tell in it, like, this is what he should do. This is his thing. I think he sucks at football announcing. But he should just be employed to do any in
Basically,
memoriam.
you want to hear Nance's voice if you hear this piano.
We are saddened to announce the passing of FedEx founder Fred Smith.
Oh, yeah.
One of the greatest supporters of the PGA Tour. The Daily Memphian.
Did we know it was Memphian? The paper and the residents?
Memphian?
Memphian.
Labeled Fred Smith as the most important Memphian of all time.
Wait, what is that word?
People from Memphis.
No
You're
one
a Memphian?
says that.
That's what they're saying.
Never knew that.
He's the most
Memphian of all time.
Is that where computer's from?
Memphis, Tennessee.
Labeled Fred Smith as the most important Memphian of all time.
He
was the founder and the heart and soul of FedEx. A Yale-educated man and fraternity brother of President George W. Bush. One of his numerous inspirations was the PGA Tour's FedEx Cup, which began in 2007.
That was his inspiration. His inspiration was how can we put...
They sponsored it.
How can we put the name of my logistics company on more shit? I have an idea. Make the end of the season have points.
So if our boy Dave at Game Day Men's Health one day does die,
right?
Do we read a real sad thing about his inspiration was naming?
Oh, I think
the studio.
Listen, implicit
the Game Day Men's Health studio,
and I love it for Dave, and
He
I
was
love it for
inspired.
Game Day. But I think implicit in all of our adverts. You think if Travis dies, we're not doing this? I think that's part of it. If you
But do
die
we call
while
it his
running
inspiration?
now, if you're off schedule, you don't get the obit. But maybe not everybody can be the inspiration, but
it's like,
something.
yeah, if this is not called the FedEx Cup, we're not doing this.
Of course not.
Okay.
Began in 2007. He was not only a pioneer of an industry, but also a proud father and grandfather and husband, Marine, and friend to so many. Fred Smith was 80 years old.
Okay, now I left this in here. So here's the picture of the guy who runs FedEx. I'm going to show you how to do a proper transition out of a
There
death.
was a moment of silence held to honor Mr. Smith.
Leave the image up there. You go to another commercial that starts like this. It's about engagement rings.
Okay, very good. Instead of...
That's a board op right there. You fade out one instrument, fade in the other, rather than it going like right into like just
24.
Little bit of chicken fried.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, the George W. Bush Presidential Library put out a statement about Fred Smith because, they were friends there. Laura and I send our condolences to Fred's beloved children. However, I was very proud of one thing, and that is that Jim Nantz did not mention his son,
The
NFL
football coach.
Arthur Smith.
Oh.
Well, he didn't get that job because of Fred Smith at all. It had nothing to do with it.
Nantz at least wants to try to make you think that.
Right.
Mentioning it there would have been. I just love that, though. Like, we've got to settle things down like it's an athlete. Like, it's one thing if it is an athlete. Maybe it's one you don't really care about, but it's somebody who contributed to the sport. The guy just owns a company?
Right. And
I guess.
not really a shocking death. Anybody that's 80, I don't think is a shocking death.
No, and next time we have my dad on, which we need to do soon, by the way, he is in major conflict with his HOA. See, they're fining him. It's getting bad.
Oh,
but
wow.
FedEx was the enemy growing up.
Okay.
Like if he found out that a friend of mine's dad worked there.
Kind of a ticket fan type thing? Like
big time.
Wow. He
Big
even
time.
hated people that worked there?
Yeah.
It's
It's crazy. It's like if you work at this place for a long time, they can convince you that like it's the only place you can ever work, and like, yeah. So he bought in on that.
I have some audio too. I'm going to make it brought to us by Lone Star Beer because Lone Star Beer. In fact, I wanted to mention I was at a sports shop yesterday in the mall.
Yeah.
And looking at all the sports teams' jerseys and whatnot that they sell. They sell a Lone Star Beer shirt.
Wow.
It said the National Beer of Texas. Got a picture of it and everything to send to our guys up there.
Cool.
Or down there. Where is Lone Star Beer?
They're
They're all over Texas, yes.
Yeah, I mean,
The
personally,
National
I would
Beer
say
of Texas.
It's cool that they're at that sports shop, but you'd be a fool to buy a Lone Star shirt there.
Oh, yeah, I was thinking that too. Go to LoneStarBeer.com. What is the promo code?
Don't tell him, Blake.
You're going to just wait for me to have to type the copy and everything? Is it DumbZone 21? All right, it's DumbZone 21. You guys are assholes. That gets you 21% off merchandise. You must be 21 or over to purchase that merch. You can get a cool hat like I'm wearing today. You can get a cool T-shirt like they're trying to sell in the mall at way inflated prices compared to LoneStarBeer.com. Oh, also, go out to the ballpark, Globe Life Field at Rangers games this season. You can get Lone Star Beer. It is the national beer of Texas baseball. The piece of audio I have, which is kind of similar, is a live read that Chip Carey was doing over the weekend.
Okay. Oh.
Chip Carey.
Yeah.
And number one, it's an odd thing that's being promoted. Let's I guess we can stop and start if we need to, but here's Chip Carey, baseball announcer.
Another guy.
Disability Pride Night is Thursday, July.
What?
Have we taken this shit too far? I mean, if you're disabled, that's great. I mean, great, whatever, you know? Like,
unless you run into Blake's kid.
It is, well, it is what it is.
Goddamn sideshow.
But the word pride, I mean, it's the Norm Macdonald bit on going to the gay pride parade. It's the, are you really, is that the word you, like, you're proud of your kid, you want to be proud no matter what of whatever accomplishments or attempting to, are you proud that someone is gay? Maybe you're proud that they are able to.
Yes, I think that's
admit to the
clearly
world,
the
but that's
implication.
even weird if you look at the perfect society that you want to see someday. You're not even you don't care where someone's wiener goes, right? You're not judging them on that at all. So I'm not proud that you're gay any more than I'm proud that you love threesomes, or that I'm proud that
Blake loves nipple play,
or whatever. I'm proud this guy
I know
cheats
what
on
you're
his wife
saying,
every
but
week. Like
that's not-
that is just what you do.
Yes.
That is not what I'm.
Yes, that is the goal.
Informs my relationship with you at all. What you do when you're not with me.
But also,
I'm also not proud that you lost your leg.
I swell every time I see a man take another man's load in his mouth. I swell with pride. And if you don't experience that same thing, then you're not an ally.
Okay.
I just don't. We're back in the same spot of telling people who have something that we don't have how they should feel about it. And I don't know. But I would say Disability Pride Night feels like, because we call like autism a disability. And it just seems that we need to narrow it down. Like wheelchair night, maybe. We can't have all the disabilities in one night. Is ADHD the same as if I got my leg blown off in Iwo Jima? I don't know. It just seems like a lot. And the pride thing is weird too, because you want somebody to be like, I'm not embarrassed of the fact that I'm a little person, but it's a little more embarrassing when they bring me out to the ballpark and put me next to the elephant boy or whatever. I don't know. It seems weird.
But the beginning of Pride was some sort of fight against oppression. Who's saying disability?
Well,
people with disabilities shouldn't be here.
Yeah, they're getting this great parking and.
Look how much
drive slow in front of me in the fast lane.
Look how much leg room they have.
I also think it's cool how they have like a
row
thing.
To themselves.
Every time I get in my car physically, I'm like, ugh, what a pain. What if I had a little deal that I could sit on to lift me up and deliver me to the driver's seat? They've got that.
The leg room is a good point, man. In certain cases, you have a ton of room.
So much space.
And a lot of times they don't have use of their legs.
But if they did,
but I'm saying if they don't have legs, they don't even need. Look at all this room.
They're wasting it, really, selfishly. Okay, so we've got
So
Disability
that's the highlight of the
Pride
audio?
Night.
That's not the highlight of the audio. That's just the start. But I will say it's odd.
It is odd.
After this whole audio, that there are stories that Chip Carey will not be suspended or reprimanded for his what he ends up saying in this audio.
Disability Pride Night is Thursday, July 10th, and with a theme ticket, fans take home a Cardinals cap featuring the Disability Pride flag and Cardinals in Braille. Details at cardinals.com.
All right, so yes, he will inadvertently say the one F word, the newest bad F word. Like growing up, the worst F word to say had 4 letters.
Right.
Now we're becoming more efficient. 3 letters is all you need for the worst F word.
Fans take home a Cardinals cap featuring the Disability Pride flag and Cardinals in Braille. Details at cardinals.com/theme.
no, he's frozen.
Lead that one.
Oh.
What?
So I think then the conjecture on whether or not he would be reprimanded or suspended or whatever might be because of the 35-second delay afterwards, because Are they doubled over in laughter holding the cough button down? Because it kind of even sounded as
and when they came
as
back.
he came out of that, like
Lead that one.
Yeah.
Still a little. I'm trying to talk
and
normal.
that wasn't him, was it?
No, I don't know.
Well, whoever it was laughing. I feel like it was the analyst. But you may be right. Or is it just that not having to apologize is back?
Or because he was saying the word pride, did that trigger something Freudian like in his brain, and that's why he said that for the flag?
It sounds like a bad edit. Like it just doesn't fit in there. The way he says it, it's just.
The word flag.
Yeah,
it's pretty easy.
It's
to
funny
leave out
though.
No. I understand how he did it. It just
He's
sounds
trying to say it
so
more
choppy.
efficiently. Don't use 3 letters instead of 4. I get
It's
it.
funny though if you imagine it like he is describing a like a mascot, like a plushie, like the first however many fans get a disability pride F. It's just like a little gay stuffy who's been, I don't know, he's disabled. Play it again. It sounds like that's what he's giving away.
Disability Pride Night is Thursday, July 10th, and with a theme ticket, fans take home a Cardinals cap featuring the Disability Pride flag.
It's a hat, and it's got a... Yeah, well, I think the fact that he's not having to apologize actually is a sign of the times. I think if Tom Brenneman did what he did during this present time, he would have been fine. One's a copy mix-up.
Agree.
One was talking off the air. That's probably...
But Tom Brenneman's, the tone as well. He's
hate.
like, this is the F capital of the world. Like, he was clearly disgusted by the thought of a man and another man.
All right, well, let's put it this way. He is back in the biz. So however
True.
long he was out, maybe
Touché on that.
It was less if it's currently the way it is. Maybe you're right. It was different, but I don't know. Let's monitor to see what apologies look like over the next handful of years.
All right.
Saturday, June 28th at the Kessler Theater in historic Oak Cliff, Texas, it's a Skylark Soul Company showcase, presented by Josie Records, featuring Paul Shalda. We'll also have the world premiere of his new video, Joey, a beautiful, soulful collaboration with Adrian Quesada. Plus, the funky, bluesy, soulful sounds of Michael Lee and the Wartime Limousine. Your boy Luke Sardello will be on the decks, and we'll have a Josie merch pop-up with a very unique opportunity to score Daniel Bayless's new project, Sir Daniel Esquire. A sound that exists somewhere between Chet Baker and Radiohead. Vibraphones, vintage synthesizers, and space-age exotica propped up by ancient drum machines. Don't miss this incredible night. Get your tickets right now at thekessler.org.
You're listening to The Dumb Zone.
Check us out on DZTV, Channel 27, and I guess Sunday nights, actually, on Fox 4. But Channel 27, generally Monday through Friday at 9 p.m. You could see us. Isn't that great? You could see our studio, the Game Day Men's Health Studio. You'll see the sign and go, hey, actually, yeah, cool. It looks great. So DZTV is what we shall promote right here. We're going to hold the OJ book review and work that into closing remarks, and we think we'll have a long one. That's what she said. Ha-ha. Like Wiener. So it'll be after news and Today in History. And news, we should say, is brought to you by, like, our signature sponsor. Would you call Qualis Roofing our first sponsor? Maybe Frankel was officially on board before, but Qualis Roofing dipped their toe in with, like, a sit-in. They paid for one of those, and they thought, this is so great. What we're going to do, if we sell a roof, thanks to Dumb Zone relations, we'll give a sit-in to someone else. What a gift that would be. And they continue to do this to this day. QualisGC.com. They are our roofer. They put a new roof on the den and my entire house. They have helped out, I'm thinking it might be hundreds by now, of our listeners with new roofs in the past year.
They've helped out with at least one generic summer event.
Yeah.
And they want to help you. QualisGC.com. The phone number is 817-500-9008. If you're getting a roof, if you're looking for some preventative maintenance on the roof front, have them come out and inspect that bad boy at QualisGC.com. News.
Here's Jake with the Dumb Zone News.
We should say, lest we leave this out of our NBA Finals coverage, since this note was once a news story, we just want to send a hearty congratulations to the family of Aubrey McClendon, the former owner, CEO, and chairman of Chesapeake Energy. And he owned 19% of the LLC Professional Basketball Club, who now owns the Oklahoma City Thunder. And when Mr. McClendon was about to go to prison for insider trading, he decided to wreck his luxury sedan into a wall going 100 miles an hour and avoid jail time.
And avoid lifetime, too, right?
Yeah.
He died.
He unalived himself.
Interesting way. I could
mean,
see doing that,
They
but
say it was an accident, but, it wasn't.
I could see doing that as a, hey, this will be more fun way, like, to kill yourself. But there is the slight possibility that Chip Carey will be reading something saying that you are proud to be the way you are now. Like, if you just end up
mangled,
maimed, you're still alive technically, but for life, like in this state.
Right, you're Terry Schiavo'd.
Yeah. Or like worse would be Terry Schiavo. You weren't sure if Terry Schiavo had any cognitive abilities, right? Like, but you could actually just be fully paralyzed, like
trapped.
Like, is Christopher Reeve? Would that be worse?
To be alive like that?
To be alive, I guess he could actually kind of do stuff. Like he directed some TV stuff.
Well,
after
I mean,
that.
I think the issue is if you maim yourself and you know, in an attempt to die, you're going to have to go to vegetable jail. They're going to have.
Do they have that?
Well, I don't think you just get out of a federal indictment because you're a quadriplegic.
Yeah, you don't get to go to Cardinals games.
I think it just makes you kind of into a little fuck puppet. I mean, you're just in jail. I don't think you're defending yourself. You know?
An F puppet, you say?
Well,
I'd love one of those.
Well,
Would I? I don't know. Go ahead.
I don't think you would use it.
So the news of the day, you'd be so beaten by it. You'd be happy when it was like inexplicably not in the house for some reason. You're alone from it.
Wouldn't it be great if we had a adult entertainment reads and we made Dan do it?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it.
What do you mean?
Hey, Dan here for Adam and Eve, where you can get your own pocket pussy for 10% off when you use the promo code DZ10.
And he's having me have to help him pronounce items like the finer food items on Eatsy's holiday menus. No, the big news here in the state of Texas, of course, is that Blaze Up, the governor stands up for THC.
I see what you did.
It truly is a remarkable development if you've been tracking this with Dan Patrick and his cohorts.
Because you think they're all on the same page.
Yeah, occasionally in Texas you will get the conservative infighting. It was happening a lot towards the end of Bush II's term. That's when you got like the Tea Party and things like that. But occasionally you'll get into a write-off. And I don't know, but by all reads of this situation, the governor chose money and the economy over the quote-unquote moral or religious choice. And, you know, it may sound weird for me to be like, just choose the money. as the guy's a little bit suspect, perhaps, of the extremes of capitalism. But I'd rather them choose that than just morally legislating based on something that I don't even think most conservative Texans are on board with, which is a full ban of. This is
do you think
effectively making marijuana recreationally legal.
Really?
It's been legal. The stuff you can get is exactly this. I mean, do you trust me?
I do.
I believe you've actually had some before as part of your regular rotation and not known it.
Do you feel gambling should be legal?
I'm a lot less confident that would.
Now, is that a moral
not wreck
stand?
Society. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, it is, and maybe that's just being hypocritical, but I do think there are like economic risks involved in gambling that don't seem as present in drugs and alcohol, and especially THC.
Gambling too, the way it's very predatory, and
the marketing of it is crazy.
And the fact that you could actually run a business where, like, if you were good at gambling, they would just be able to ban you.
Well,
oh no, you can't do it now.
Yeah.
Like, no, that shouldn't exist.
It seems like THC is just a much more straightforward, clean, or CBD, and just say, like, okay, this is how we're going to regulate it now.
What other business would be like gambling in that sense? Where if you're whatever, if they're offering something for a certain amount of money and you're, I don't know, just to be able to ban you for just using their product and doing what they say they want you to do when you use like, hey, you should sign up so you could win $100,000 today. And then if you sign up and win $100,000 every day, you are banned because you actually are good at it. We only want people who suck at this, and then we'll let them sign up. And everybody's like, yeah, that's cool. That's the way it should work.
No, it's a giant scam, and it doesn't.
So that's why I'm against the gambling being legalized, unless they couldn't do that.
Yeah, when you talk about like being able to go up to a sporting event and gamble at the event, that seems reasonable to me. But when you can download a thing on your phone and live bet every 2 seconds, and there's no real it seems there is a level of regulation that's not present.
But if you're allowed to have that and make money off the people that can't do it well, you should also be allowed, it's like they just want all the good, we've run into this a few times. They want all the upside and none of the downside, and they get it.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to THC, which is really the important
Dan
story.
Patrick and the Danettes, I believe they're having a press conference right now. Last night, Dan Patrick just got a tweet off saying how disappointed he was in the governor.
Him and the governor tweeting?
Well, Dan Patrick is tweeting like, yo, the governor kind of fucked me here, because he did.
Okay.
And then Dan Patrick is having a press conference right now to follow up on. And for the governor's part, he vetoed the ban, but said now it's time to special session for
how to regulate.
Like, how are we going to do it different?
Well, this probably works for Dan Patrick well, too, because now his constituents that vote for him because of his moral stands are still going to know this is what he really wanted. Maybe it's all a big scam.
All working in conjunction.
So, like, if you're saying Abbott can't run again, is he?
Well, he was tree fell on him some 35.
No, I mean
years
for
ago.
Politically.
Oh, I don't think so.
Okay, so like if that is the case, this would be the scam that they do.
It's
like,
now that you're saying
guy,
this, dude. This is basically just a modern day Ma Pa Ferguson.
Yeah, you're the guy that can't take the hit on this. You can take the hit on it politically. We all kind of want this because of the money, but I want to stay in this job later. So if we were to allow the THC...
Oh, wow. He is running.
Oh, then I'm wrong here. Damn it. I had such a good theory for...
No, that is a great theory.
A minute.
You were cooking.
No one has ever run for a fourth term. He will be the first.
Which is ironic because he...
was some 30 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I can't say that I'm bummed about this. It's good for our friends at Earlybird.
Mm-hmm.
There are certainly other ways you can acquire these things, but here's where it really jams them up. There's so many veterans and people dealing with both mental and physical injuries and trauma who have decided that THC is a better route for them than medication, pills, big pharma. And those people made their voices heard. And it's one thing if it's, Earlybird comes to us and they're like, man, we need it to seem like there's legitimate people who are, I'm like, hey, we do a podcast. But if you can find the people who are actual, like, heroes, first responders, people who have dealt with the negative effects of society, and this is how they cope, that'll work. A lot of lake news over the weekend. It started out, I believe this was Thursday night. A police chase led to a suspect jumping in Grapevine Lake. So a 38-year-old stole a vehicle, crashed it while being chased, and then jumped into Grapevine Lake trying to escape. This was actually, I said Thursday night. It was Friday morning, and not the Thursday night kind of Friday morning. It was 9:30 Friday morning.
9:30?
Yeah. And here's time for the reason I'm doing this story. So when he got in the lake, the story says officers tried to reach him by boat and jet ski, but shallow waters limited their access.
We got cops on jet skis?
And that's my thought is like, okay, so it's Friday morning, Grapevine PD. They probably have at least a couple Sea-Doos, right? They got a 15-year-old stand-up freestyle Polaris.
They're dreaming of the day that they're called to use it.
That's what I want to know. How are we? Whose call is that? Is that just whoever the big dog that day, or are we drawing straws?
There's got to be it's got to be set in stone. There's a succession of, like, if we need jet skis, it's you and you. Like, you guys are the jet ski guys, and if there is a call on that.
And you're off that day, and you're screwed because you got passed over.
Oh, damn.
But yeah, so
off.
And they couldn't get to him because they said the water was too shallow. So this joker's just out there in the lake playing nanny nanny boo boo at 10 o'clock on a Friday morning.
That's a waiting game.
It's totally, as it were.
You're going to win in the end. The cops, the man.
Yeah. Then we also had a firefighter drown. I think that one was Lake.
That's ironic too, right?
Lake Lavon.
Yeah, how about me?
Yeah, off-duty Dallas Fire Rescue member kayaking around 7 o'clock this morning. They found his body. I guess he was actually reported missing over the weekend.
Wasn't Jimmy, was it?
No.
Would you tell us if it was Jimmy?
Yes. Yeah.
We would need Nance. An AI Jim Nance to lay him to rest.
Let's make AI Jim Nance giving a
he doesn't at all seem like the
Nelson
type of person who would be litigious.
No. But if we make a Jimmy Nelson obituary with AI Nance just for the future, for when needed, I think Jimmy would like that.
I think he would like that. I also feel like Jim Nance would sue us.
No, we're not using it
ever.
Well, we're not using it for anything except comedy. His name is out there. He's in the. You're allowed to parody him. We can't make money off if we use him in the sponsor tag.
That's true. That's where I ran afoul.
And I'm totally bullshitting about. I don't know if I'm right on this, but it sounded great to the scent where Jake was nodding. Yes, like yes, you have a great point.
Jameson could play the music or the piano.
Dude, let's do it.
Jimmy Nelson.
We got a person barricaded in a home in White Settlement right now. Got an ongoing situation with Choppers Live.
I was going to say there's more than one person shut in White Settlement, but go ahead.
Reminding you that White Settlement still exists.
What's going on there now?
Like I said, there's I think they actually broke in live on the news for this. We got a SWAT situation. 8 a.m.
But
I wonder what that
we don't know what it's for.
It just says a person is barricaded inside a home, and they got the WFA chopper out there.
We sending in bomb bot?
What does it take to get the SWAT team out there?
That's what I'm saying.
It can't.
Obviously, there's got to be firearms involved.
Yeah, it does say that there were firearms, but they got one person inside the house. Heavy police presence. Let's see here.
And that never escalates it.
No. What was the?
But you got to go.
Oh, yeah, we got this.
What does SWAT stand for?
Special Weapons and Tactics.
Nice.
We did have a little bit more on the war front over the weekend, and today we have
dude.
Iran striking an American military base in Qatar.
Okay. Should probably expect that, right?
Yeah. And I just saw on Twitter they called that – let me make sure I have this right. Because now we've got a lot of new operations to name. They called it Annunciation of Victory.
I don't like that.
I don't like it at all.
No.
It's confusing.
It feels like a give up. No, but I can't tell if it's just social media age or not, but this doesn't feel like a real war yet, despite everybody tweeting about World War III. I mean, like, did you see the thing where the U.S. like diplomatically back-channeled Iran before they did this and let them know? Like, hey, we're about to bunker bust you. And then there's people posting videos of themselves on the streets in Tehran, in Tel Aviv, on both sides of this thing, and people are just kind of like living life. Now,
Yeah,
in
social
other
media
parts of
is-
the town, stuff is on fire. So I don't know what sense to make of that, but I don't think there's going to be a draft tomorrow is what I'm saying, despite the fervor on social media. I think you're safe, Henry.
Oh, yeah, he'd go first.
Out of us, yeah.
Yeah, and look at that. Do you want him fighting for us?
Dude, okay,
Jesus
so
Christ.
on the way here.
Can you imagine if we had to have a draft?
On the way
Kids
here.
these days, Grandpa? Come on.
Oh, well, your daughters are the ones who wanted equality so bad. They're
Yeah,
Gen
there you
Z
go.
ladies
You can go to war now.
generation. Hop on in.
Henry spills coffee on his shirt. We
I
got
was-
to stop at a gas station. He contemplates whether to buy a $40 shirt or not.
This is on the way here?
I would have because it looks awful.
On the way here. And
You have a big coffee stain on your shirt?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, my
Look
God.
at it.
It's terrible.
Look at it.
But, you know, at least I didn't spill on Clayton's car. That was the bigger concern.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What happened?
Because Clayton's car's in the shop, remember?
Well, who spilled some coffee?
No,
He's saying he's just happy he didn't spill
Oh,
it in his
okay.
car.
I get there this
On his car.
morning,
The first
and
thing I tell him this
it-
morning is, hey, you spill coffee.
Hold on.
go for it. Go,
In
you're
my,
good now.
if you spill coffee in my stepdad's truck, might have to hurt you.
so
And we get to the stop, and he goes, well, I didn't spill coffee in your truck. And then he does the shirt reveal, but I got it all over me.
Okay, well, that's a good thing.
And so then we're on our way out here, and we're not seeing much civilization. And Clayton just goes, "Man, we're just headed out to BFE, aren't we?" Henry has no idea. Never heard that term in his
What
life.
about you? Yeah.
Yeah, he
BFE?
knows. Yeah, BFE. MJ knows.
What did he say? It's BF Egypt, right?
well, I guess it's BFN.
BF Egypt.
You never heard. What do you think BFE means?
Oh, it just starts with bum fuck something.
But
Well, what's the E?
I've always
It's
heard Egypt.
It is.
What did you think? You only thought it was BFE.
Yeah,
Okay, no, it's Egypt. That's the origin.
Egypt.
Yeah.
Okay.
In this case, Henry may have actually known more than you.
Yeah.
by
No,
the
he
time
knew nothing
knew.
about it.
Maybe he knows a lot
Maybe
more
that
than
was more than.
Did you just think the E was kind of a choose-your-own-adventure?
I just thought
You can-
BFE just stood for just in the middle of nowhere, just bum fuck.
It does.
Whatever.
Yeah,
But
but
I
I always heard either bumfucking Egypt or people would just say we're in the middle of bumfucking nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that doesn't start with E.
Nope.
No.
All
So
right.
you were ridiculing me about something that you made up.
Oh.
No, but at
Boy,
least I
Henry's
knew.
cucking you,
I
bro.
knew what it represented.
Damn.
You had no idea about anything.
Just the intern making you look foolish.
I knew butt fuck nothing.
Well, shout out to Greg Abbott and Henry,
Yeah.
the two winners today for your Dumb Zone News.
The Dumb Zone News. Like and subscribe.
How about Today in History is going to be brought to us by Lucy. The Breakfast of Champions, if you're Clayton. Lucy is our
Let me tell you something. If you're going to be
our
stuck
nicotine pouches.
babysitting children all weekend,
Uh-huh.
double up that Apple Ice Lucy with a breaker and keep yourself calm. Okay?
What's a breaker?
A breaker is a pouch, a nicotine pouch, and that's what Lucy is, but they got a little flavor breaker in them. So when you think that pouch is done, no, it's not. It's long.
Okay.
It's strong, and it's ready to get the nicotine on. At lucy.co/dumbzone, promo code's dumbzone, you get 20% off your first order and free shipping. Get 30-day refund if you change your mind. Like I said, they got 4, 8, 12 milligrams. I like the apple ice. Somebody brought me an espresso breaker to the Constellation Club the other day. These are nice, 100% pure nicotine, always tobacco-free. This is a step up from your generic big pouch. So, like I said, lucy.co/dumbzone, promo code dumbzone for 20% off your first order. Lucy.co, use promo code dumbzone, 20% off and free shipping.
And here comes the fine print. Lucy products are only for adults of legal age, and every order is age verified. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Thanks, cool Blake.
Yeah, I wish I sounded like him.
That's AI Blake.
Well, I have like 10 AI Blakes. That's the one called Cool Blake.
Oh, okay.
He's cool.
Just one viewer mail birthday on this day. Dear Sweater Meat Motorboater. That would be me. Let's see. Writing to you utilizing the far superior Hotmail technology. Fortunately, I don't have to remember your email address, since this includes a new cutting-edge feature called Address Book. Conveniently stores previous used email addresses for quick access.
Damn.
I would like to write to you with intentionality to wish my best buddy Scott Harper,
Doesn't have a sister,
Scoodle,
a
happy birthday. You'll remember Scott as the DF who retired in his early 50s, sold his house, lives in a van he finished out by himself. He now travels year-round chasing beautiful weather and beautiful scenery. In fact, as you read this, he is listening to you as a subby in Alaska.
Dang. Go check on our muskox.
That's right.
Somebody did.
I know.
Somebody has
More on
done
that in
that.
viewer mail this week.
Let's see.
Good for that dude.
His leaders is Dingu's politically correct designation for tiny bugs that bite you when you lay in the grass, which is chigros.
Yeah, we don't say chiggers anymore.
My leader is Jake's douchebag cadence.
Yes.
He says, usually appearing in the news where he slows down his pacing and begins sarcastically emphasizing select words in his sentence, just to let you know that he is annoyed and too cool for whatever he is talking about. I have not noticed that on you, Jake, but whatever. More Sarah Hepala theme song, because I am the creator of it. More Bits and Tits with Dan and Julie. More Fake Shoddy. Nuck Fico from DF Ryan. P.S. Thank you for reading my email. Subscribe and type my name if you want to read more of my email. On this day, OTD, for Monday, June 23rd, in 18...
Can you send me that guy's email?
Yeah, you like it?
Yeah, no, I was just going to book him for tomorrow for him to do the news.
Oh, my God.
I figure he's probably available. Ready to
go.
This is the day in 1868 that the patent was given for the typewriter featuring the QWERTY keyboard, QWERTY, which is a very popular password. Do you know that?
For real?
Yeah.
That's insane.
My daughter, I remember that was her password.
I thought that was like, cybersecurity 101 was we don't do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 or straight letters. But it does bring the question, what did it look like beforehand?
Maybe just A, B, C, D.
Yeah, probably.
And then this guy's like, look, what if we put the letters we use most closely associated with the fingers? And
kind of brilliant for the time. And stood the test of time.
I like the QWERTY password. My password trick is trying to find words that you only need one hand to type.
That's a good one.
So I did creds 23 because I could do it all with my left hand. Or dreads.
He did a left hand because he's doing something else with his right hand.
Yeah, he's busy.
While he's password to this adult site.
Damn, dude.
NFCM.
There's literally no other reason for you to be using your left hand.
Why would
that. You just
Do a left-hand one.
Completely exposed.
I think I had the mouse here and the
whatever.
hand here.
Oh,
and,
sure, dude. Yeah.
My pants down.
On this day in 1917, two Boston Red Sox pitchers combined forces to pitch a no-hitter. Babe Ruth walked the first batter and then got ejected from the game when he was disputing the ball four call.
First batter of the game.
Ernie Shore then took over. Have you ever heard about this?
No.
Okay. I love teaching Blake baseball history. The runner attempted to steal. They threw him out. And then Ernie Shore retired every single batter after that in the game. So that's a no-hitter. On this day in 1988, George Steinbrenner fired Billy Martin for the 5th time. Isn't that, imagine that. He replaced him with Lou Piniella. He had been the manager for 3 years. Since in 1985, Piniella was fired and replaced by Billy Martin.
I did not realize that.
So he would fire one, hire the other. Fire that guy after a couple years, hire the other. This despite the fact that the Yankees at the time had the 4th best record in the big leagues.
Damn.
But they had a 2-7 road trip, so he fired Billy Martin.
Well, he'll be around.
This is the day in 1993 in a case that became very viral back in that day. Lorena Bobbitt.
Hold on. Any idea, Henry? Damn.
Lorena Bobbitt. Blake.
I don't know. Sounds like Lauren Boebert.
John Wayne Bobbitt.
John Wayne Gacy.
Nothing? Yeah, you, but
Clayton
what about
knows.
him? Oh, Clayton knows. Okay. Wow, that's shocking.
Lorena Bobbitt sexually mutilated her husband, John Wayne Bobbitt, after he allegedly raped her, which caused all kinds of, can you rape your wife?
Yeah, I don't know.
Don't you recall?
I do, and I think it's a legitimate question that shouldn't.
You think it's a legitimate, you're not sure if you can?
You definitely can.
Oh, okay. Well, you just said it was a legitimate question. You should say it's not a legitimate question.
Okay, well, the way you said it, can you rape your wife? I thought. But in any case.
Well, I'm saying at the time, that's one thing that emerged from this. But anyway, yeah, she cut off his wiener and threw it in the field.
And then
she got in trouble.
He later did porn
What?
with the reattached appendage.
You ever watched any of that?
Shockingly, no.
Yeah, that is shocking.
How? I've never interfaced with it.
And on this day in 2020, Segway, the company Segway, said it would end production of their two-wheeled personal transporter. So 2020, Segway stopped doing it. I did not know that.
The mini disc of transportation.
Today's birthdays include LaDainian Tomlinson is 46. Antonio Gibson is 27.
Boy, he fell off.
I thought it was funny reading about him this morning on his Wikipedia page. Drafted by Washington football team, it says.
Yeah.
So for that 1 year, what a give up.
Well, you know what
we
it
know
is.
we got to change the name. We're not sure what to do. Let's just do this.
It's the soccer thing, Greg.
I would have loved him to keep that name.
Well, me too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it was unique. I think it looks cool when clubs in Europe do that.
Yeah.
In
but
fact,
they had to go, no, we'll do Commanders.
Gets right in line with one of my gummy thoughts from over the weekend, and it's probably because the Rangers were playing the Pirates, but I'll just do it now. Since we're learning the president can just do shit, and people are like, well, nobody thought to do that before, and he's like, well, whatever. The president should just mandate that every city has one colorway for their sports teams.
That's great.
And what could be done about it? Like America, who would? I mean, obviously some cities would bitch and moan and complain about it.
What are we doing here? Cowboys colors?
I feel like there's no chance of anything other. But that's not bad, dude.
Yeah.
You got a couple different variations of that blue and white for hockey. It would look sick. It would look like the Maple Leafs, the Dodgers, the Cowboys, and what. It's just better.
The Kelly Green team would be a little upset, but they already got the star.
Yeah. No, you could work it out. And that's how they do it in Europe. So when Luka plays for, whatever, Madrid, it's the same team, and I think that'd be cool.
Clarence Thomas is 77.
Pubes on a Pepsi.
Randy Jackson, 69. We once had him autograph our sword. Frances McDormand is 68.
She had a little bit of a kind of a comeback, right?
She never really went away. I mean,
I guess I just know it seemed like she was in 2 award movies.
Yeah.
In close succession.
She's always thought of as great. And Aaron, our birthday of the day. Do you want to give me one? We'll give a Henry birthday. He's shaking his head. He doesn't have anything for us today.
Nothing that great, no.
When you know, you know.
Yeah.
But I'll give you our birthday of the day because I consider this to be an important thing. That there's no slow news days, just slow news reporters. As a great man once said, Aaron Ruel is 49. That is Kip from Napoleon Dynamite. And it's shocking to see a picture of him like just as normal person. He just looks normal. He looks like Henry, just like a regular dude, good dude. He doesn't look like Kip from Napoleon Dynamite. Born on this day, now dead, and thankfully some of these people are dead. Art Modell.
Muck Fodell.
June Carter Cash. And some of these people, unfortunately, they're dead because we can't enjoy more of their fine work. Paul Verhoeven.
Starship Troopers and Partial Recall.
Dead on this day, still dead. I give you Ed McMahon.
Oh, wow.
What?
Chuck Taylor. Dr. Jonas Salk developed a vaccine for polio, which is why I can count cards today.
Don't want it.
And George Paterno, possible Muser's guest.
Son.
Brother. He was a great play-by-play man on radio. But
for Penn State?
He was for Penn State. It was weird how he got that job. Just what a coincidence, though. That he would get the Penn State job. With all those other jobs out there.
Yeah, you at least.
But of all the applicants, they said this one is he's just the best. He's the most qualified. And
No, probably was handed to him. Unlike, at least in the case of the other Jerry Sandusky, he actually did have to work for his radio play-by-play role. Still one of the most amazing things about that story.
The guy named Jerry Sandusky who does radio.
Works for the Ravens.
There is a guy, yeah, currently.
Yeah, and
he often has to battle people like, it's not me.
How are they letting Jerry Sandusky call NFL games?
They just let him out on Sunday.
That was Today in History.
Closing remarks brought to us by Frankel and Frankel. Frankel and Frankel, personal injury attorneys. We mentioned them earlier today as one of our first sponsors that were on board with the old Dumb Zone. They are the ones that can help you if you get into a jam and you got to fight the insurance companies. They know that sucks. They are there for you at 214 or 817, and then dial all threes.
Yeah, they have plenty of people on staff who used to work for the insurance companies. They know their dirty tricks. Don't go it alone. People are trying to take advantage of you, and the Frankels are trying to keep that from happening at 214, 817, and 333-3333.
So part of closing remarks today is just that we're out here at the Triple D Ranch Event Center.
Place is incredible.
I thought I was coming just to your home ranch. Now, who do we have here?
Adam, the son, one of the sons.
One of the sons.
Most important.
One of the D's. We had to make sure we had all three.
One of the deers. So your dad wrote the book about OJ being innocent of the murders. Do you agree with that?
I do. I grew up with it. From the time I can remember, I was talking with him about the case. We had a pool table. He would have all the materials spread out and would ask my opinion. Now I was, 10, 12, 15 years old at the time, so I probably didn't appreciate it. But I think he put together a very compelling case. I mean, he was very convinced. He knew who the suspect was. And this thing was, LAPD should just take a look at him. Why discount it?
Now, should we reset it all?
Yeah.
Who his father was?
Yeah, let's reset everything.
Yeah, so let's go back. We had a remote at Spice Center, and Michael gave us a book to read, and the cover was OJ is innocent and I can prove it. And I knew nothing about the OJ Simpson case, and I thought it would be a nice objective read, and since a listener gave it to me, I felt more inclined to read it. And it took me probably 2 weeks to read this book. It just flies by. Written by Michael Deere, private investigator, who had done really good work in other independent cases and kind of grew his name to be a well-respected figure. And Adam, jump in here if I get any of this wrong, but I believe was delivering, was at a conference, saw this slow car speed chase of OJ in the Bronco, and thought, well, yeah, he did it. And kind of started kicking himself for just assuming, just based off of something he saw on TV, that this guy was guilty. So he ponied up his own money. He did his own investigation, flew to L.A. countless times, hopped fences, pretended to be people, got close, and just poured himself into this case and wrote this really good book on who he thinks did it. And I thought it'd be cool to go through the book. Sent you guys some notes if you ever want to jump in here. But Adam, I thought we would start with why OJ couldn't have done it. And it starts, I think we should start with the crime scene was, so to speak, butchered, where people were contaminating evidence. I mean, the biggest, I think, problem with the crime scene that they did was Nicole, her head was almost cut off. And just to give her a little bit of dignity, wanted to cover her up. But they brought in a blanket from inside to cover her up, meaning OJ's, her kids, hers, maybe Ron Goldman's fibers were on that blanket. And from then on, I don't know how you can trust much from the crime scene after that.
Exactly. And let me know if we get too graphic here, but the crime scene, there was an obvious struggle that happened. And whoever the assailant was would have had obvious defensive marks. And even on Nicole, I don't know if everyone knows, but she was knocked out first. It wasn't an immediate killing. She was knocked out, and that's when the confrontation started with Ron Goldman. Once he was killed, the assailant had no other choice but to kill Nicole. And so she wasn't killed by just a stab wound. She was killed from somebody behind, pulling the neck back, slicing the throat. Imagine, blood would have been everywhere. Right? The assailant would have had blood all over them. Mm-hmm. But you're right. Once the crime scene is messed with, a blanket, that introduces other things from maybe inside the house that weren't there. And there was a shoe print. Well, my dad, he'd been an investigator for 50 some odd years. And so when he was watching his case and he was watching the trial and he was laid up, he knew things weren't quite adding up. So that's why he went to do his own investigation. And slowly he started putting these things together, and it was piece by piece and building the puzzle. And so in the crime scene, and we have one of his associates, Phil Thompson, here, the footprint that they talk about, it was stepped on once the blood was already pooling. It wasn't somebody that was standing there would have got blood all over him. Mm-hmm. And Phil, I believe, is even starting to thicken up, right? And that's what they...
You turn that headset around, that'll... Mike will be in front of you.
That's one of the things that they used.
Huh? Oh, he's got a hand. I'm sorry.
No, use the headset. You're good.
That's one of the things that they used to try and place OJ at the scene. Well, my dad never argued that OJ was at the scene. His theory was OJ went afterwards because the assailant, who knew, was very close to him, probably called and said what happened, and he went to check it out like anyone would, not believing that that actually happened.
Yeah, it was outside. So if the assailant had gotten in a fight with Ron Goldman, which his injuries suggest that there was, I believe there was bruising along his knuckles and his hands, indicating that he got a few really good punches in, and there was a defensive scuffle. And OJ was photographed the day after the crimes, where the only indications of harm was a cut on his hand from which he had squeezed and broken a glass. And so there was no indication that OJ had been in an altercation of any sort. And, I mean, the blood, there's just a lack of blood evidence. There was a lack of blood evidence in the Bronco, which he used to drive. That has been confirmed that he did drive the Bronco that night. There was no blood on the gas pedal or the brake or anything that would indicate that someone had committed a murder and then gotten in the vehicle to drive away. And I believe what your dad said was there was 11 drops of blood in the Bronco, which is enough to equate to your thumbnail.
Exactly.
So
The total amount of blood would have been about the size of your thumbnail.
So when people are saying, well, there was blood in the Bronco, that's true. And while it may have been Nicole's, but it's not cohesive with a murder that night. And there was also, you couldn't link any DNA, any of OJ's DNA to the crime scene. Now, whether it was contamination or what, but even, the knit cap that was found at the scene or the glove that was found at the scene, that was not conducive to, well, the murderer was wearing those things.
It's possible.
It could be.
Right,
but,
it could be.
But it was never confirmed that was OJ's.
Exactly.
Now, it was consistent. They use that word a lot, consistent. Right. But consistent could have been familial DNA. There's
the whole blanket thing is interesting because that certainly was a big part of the most recent documentary that we watched that had was it Marcia Clark? Was she on there? Or Darden was certainly on there. But they were talking about that was a thing that was done, and it was kind of like a ethically or morally correct thing to do because there was a lot of press there and people across the street and with the cameras they just thought it was right. I don't want these. It wasn't internet era really, but it was. I don't want these out there. Everybody just sharing them. TMZ, whatever that is of the day. But wouldn't you think these? And maybe they do now. But they would have some kind of a. What do you call it? Not contaminated, sterile, something like that. In their truck,
right? Maybe have their own tarp in the back in their truck that doesn't have a lot of the crimes, other trace evidence.
To walk inside and grab a blanket from inside is okay, you've just ruined everything there. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There was also lack of blood at Rockingham.
Or their own coat, whatever. Yeah, something.
OJ's house. If someone did, sever two people's jugulars, there would be blood all over him. There was no blood found in the shower drainage system. There was no blood.
At OJ's house?
At OJ's house at all. In fact, I think this is one of the bigger parts of the case, was a bloody sock with Nicole Brown Simpson's blood on the sock.
Yes.
And the blood went side to side, meaning it could not have been on OJ's foot when the blood hit the sock because it bled through both sides.
Correct. If a foot was in the middle, it cannot bleed through on both sides.
But the biggest thing is it tested positive for EDTA, the preservative that the blood had been in a vial.
When they draw your blood, they put in that preservative. That was what was in the blood on the sock.
And your dad talked to the jail physician who drew OJ's blood, confirmed that there was 8 cc's of blood. Thank you, Phil. And when it was returned to the criminal pathologist, there was 6.5 cc's. Mm-hmm. So some had been
where did those cc's mysteriously go?
And it was consistent enough with maybe that's the amount that they did either put there or at his house. And then the last thing I wanted to say about OJ is that he just didn't really fit the profile of someone that did those murders. Now he and Nicole had tiffs, an up and down rocky relationship. But they had also been known to reconcile a lot, and so the fact that OJ got so mad at one time to kill her is a leap. The other thing is that his kids were inside, and he knew that. Mm-hmm. He probably wouldn't have premeditated this murder had he known his kids were inside. So just that, and OJ's friends and his therapist said he was really squeamish with blood. He wouldn't even bait his own fish hook, they said. So all of these things to say OJ is then capable of that on a whim is just kind of inconsistent.
What would the motivation of the son be, though?
So that's the book. Is Mr. Deere wanted to prove that OJ didn't do it, but the more and more he looked into it, the more that his red flags pointed to OJ's son, Jason. And a little background on Jason. He suffered from a lot of childhood trauma. His parents got divorced. OJ, her name's escaping me, got divorced because their daughter had drowned in their pool. And the tragedy of that caused a lot of strife in their relationship. They ended up splitting. But Jason somehow, either because of OJ or himself, blames himself for the drowning of his sister.
He was supposed to be watching her.
Okay. So yeah. Now whether OJ explicitly said you were supposed to be watching her, this is all your fault, I don't know.
Right.
But he had to deal with that. He also had to live in OJ's shadow, where Jason is a big dude but was not the athlete, not the football star that everyone expected him to be, and just never really found his way. And so he had to deal with that. He, in dealing with all that, kind of became addicted to drugs, and in fact overdosed on cocaine at the age of 14, so much to the point where he began having these seizures and these like blind rage fits. And so the more you learn about Jason, the more you learn that he, more than OJ, is someone capable of just snapping in a heartbeat. I also thought it was interesting that he began to become, like at one point he stalked Nicole. And they said that, or your dad said that he might have at some point gained feelings for Nicole. To where on the night, maybe he sees Ron Goldman show up to her apartment. He's mad about a canceled dinner, which we'll get to in just a second. But here's this woman that he might love with another man. And the canceled date was Jason had kind of found his way being a cook.
Mm-hmm.
And so he had gotten his way to where he was on the night of the murders an acting chef at this restaurant, where Nicole said, hey, after our daughter's dance recital, we're going to come by, we're going to eat. And that was a big deal to Jason because he could finally show off and say, hey, look, this is what I'm capable of. And
it's going to be for the whole entire, big family.
Right. And so Jason made the reservation, ordered special food for the occasion, was very excited, told all of his coworkers that his family's coming in and he's get to be the acting chef for the night. Well, they bail. And it's at this point in his deposition that he begins to get a little flustered. His facts are not as consistent as they were, and he was really upset that they bailed. And so I think on the night of, it kind of created a perfect storm of, I'm really mad at Nicole for bailing and not giving me a good reason. I show up and here this other man comes in and he just kind of snapped. And a part of being a chef was he had his knives with him. He always carried his knives home. He had knife training when he was at the Army and Naval Academy.
So this wasn't one of the knives from her house?
No.
Huh.
No. This was one of his knives, a part of his chef's collection.
I believe it was here for a while, wasn't it?
And in
we
fact,
actually have it here. And
it's right there in the box.
Actually,
wow.
That's the murder weapon?
The knife.
You own the murder weapon?
This is actually, the original theory was, well, he's a chef, right? So he'd have chef knives. Well, my dad actually found an old storage locker that had went unpaid. And within the storage locker was a lot of sentimental items to the son, Jason. And there was this knife in there. And it was wrapped up with some other personal belongings. Well, the knife is a double-sided knife, and it really has no other purpose other than self-defense. It can also be called a boot knife. The base of the knife, the measurements directly match the wound on Nicole's head. And the knife itself, a lot of people don't know this, but on Ron Goldman, I believe it was, he had bruise wounds around the knife wounds, where if you're stabbing someone, the base of the knife is basically going to prevent it from going all the way in, right? If not, it's just going to go further.
Finger guards.
And so he had bruising that matches that as well. And so, I mean, this knife serves no other purpose other than self-defense.
To cut and kill.
To cut and kill.
And so the O.J. Kilder theory is that, did they ever even
Here's a knife.
mention why? Because the theory is that he threw some stuff away at the airport the next day.
His shoes.
But no.
He threw the shoes out the window on the way to the airport.
We wonder if it was the knife, all this kind of stuff.
Sure.
There are witnesses that saw him throw something away, but those witnesses, this is in the documentary, were never called or never even interviewed later. But there was never any real theory of what knife, because it wasn't like there's this knife missing at OJ's house from the set.
There was no knife missing from a kitchen block in Nicole's house.
Okay.
Right? There was no missing knife, and so nobody knew what it looked like or what could.
But when you talk this knife and the guy's a chef, this is not a chef knife.
Correct. The original theory was, well, he might have had chef knives until this was found in the storage locker. And when you look at the wounds, and Phil, you can talk more about this than I can, but the double-sided knife actually made a lot more sense, consistent with a lot of the wounds. And then not only that, but the measurements on the base of where she was knocked out right? The bruising from when the knife goes in, and the finger guards are going to prevent it from going further, and that bruises around the wound.
But also, if this was the knife, even years later, wouldn't there still be some kind of residual tiny amount of blood that you could find? Like maybe it is a knife. It just proves that he had knives like this. This is not necessarily the murder weapon.
Well, and we certainly tested that theory. We did a discovery series in 2016, and we had that tested very thoroughly. And they said, there might be and there might not be, but that many years later, it's real easy.
20-some years later?
It's real easy to not be there anymore.
Okay, what year did Will get this?
It's a good question.
Well, after it wasn't 2 years after.
It wasn't 2 years after. I'd have to. Maybe,
it was
maybe
early
08, somewhere in that.
It was well before 08 because it was in the documentary. So it was early 2000s.
Okay.
Early 2000, I believe.
The other thing I wanted to mention was the knit cap found at the scene, because I believe this was also tied to the storage unit as well, where, and his storage unit goes unpaid. So like that TV show we all became obsessed with, some guy just buys Jason Simpson's storage unit, and in there, and because of that, he calls your dad because he knew your dad was investigating it. There was the knife under some blankets and such. Some of Jason's diaries were in there, and also some pictures, which one of them is behind us, where this might well be the knit cap that he was wearing. And in all, in photographs before 1994, he was wearing a dark blue knit cap like that. Post June of 1994, he switches to a gray knit cap. So might have been his. I don't know. He could have been wearing that. But the more I read the book, the more I was convinced that your dad's suspect paints a lot of the pictures that I think OJ doesn't.
Well, in the knit cap, if you recall, there was supposedly hair, or there was hair found, right?
Yeah.
Well, when they tested it, was canine hair. Now, could it be a coincidence? Sure. But this photo where Jason is wearing the knit cap and playing with his dog, right? And the knit cap found in the storage locker, similarly, it had canine hair in there as well. So, it's like it's pieces, right? And my dad's thing was LAPD should just take a closer look. They never fully ruled him out, because they never truly looked at him as a suspect, and I think where the mistake was is laser focused on OJ as our suspect, and then you frame the narrative to try and fit that.
So which is a thing, and which I wonder if that must be your dad's thought on, like, why would, because he is alleging now that the police actually did plant evidence. If you're saying the vial is supposed to hold 8 ounces, it only had 6.5 ounces or whatever. Like, why would they do that? And I guess it would only be to bolster their, because now that's a whole different area that you're getting into.
Sure.
And I suppose they would too, if come to that conclusion, if he's had multiple domestic violence calls to a house, which is also difficult to say. So you're saying though he wasn't a guy that could do this, but he's had multiple domestic violence calls?
Well, it was a high-profile case, right? And there's got to be a lot of pressure on the police department from the DA's office and others. And what my dad laid out was just the facts. Look, this amount of blood was taken. This amount of blood is left now. Right? What happened to it? Well, there's obviously that preservative on the sock. If a foot is in a sock, it physically cannot bleed all the way through on both sides. And then the lack of blood on OJ. And then the fact that Ron Goldman was a black belt in karate. He's not going to put up a fight. So anyone he fights it's a life and death situation, right? You're going to fight to the very end. So any assailant that is in a fight with him is going to have some marks, even defensive marks. And we have it through some friends that who were close to Jason at the time, and he was held up in his house, and they, I would say on record-ish, that he was in a pretty bad case. He had a black eye. He had cuts. He had bruises on himself.
Did your father ever attempt to contact Jason?
Multiple times.
And that just doesn't. Does he not speak to anyone about this? I guess I had not thought about him really until you all brought him up.
And what's think about it, what's Jason's motivation?
Yeah.
I mean, you know OJ's motivation, right? If Carter got into a bind, it's a father protecting the son.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, if we go with this reading, we do unfortunately have to give OJ the world's best dad award.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of is, right?
Yeah,
and that's the motivation.
I wanted to walk through what your dad thinks happened the night of. Is that so? Jason commits the murders. He calls OJ, says something. Maybe Nicole's dead. Maybe something happened. Whatever. OJ then drives over there in his in his Bronco and his Bruno Magli shoes. Sees what happens. Takes the glove off to check Nicole's pulse. That's why, and then drops the glove on the way out. That explains the glove there. Also explains why why the shoe prints are walking through dried blood.
Right.
And then just kind of panics and knows he has to get to the airport because there's a limo driver waiting at his house. Has to drive back. Has to drive in the back. Has to hop his own fence. And when trying to discard his clothing, that's when the other glove gets dropped. That's also why the limo driver sees OJ sneaking around in the back. Then he goes inside, washes up, takes the Magli shoes in the knapsack that he drops on the way to the airport. But it also confirms why OJ failed the lie detector test, because he knew Jason did it, and also why he never tried to investigate what happened.
Right. Well, he could still be tried for a crime, right, as an accessory.
Yeah.
So and also obviously still protecting his son. So if he could have taken the fall, right? I mean, that was the original intent. The other thing that's not well reported is Nicole was wearing a watch the night of the murder. When she was knocked out and fell, the watch hit the ground, right, and stopped at 9:55. 59, sorry. Well, OJ was on the phone at his house at that time that the watch would have hit the ground.
Yeah, and I do want to mention Jason's airtight alibi was that he was working that night until 10:30, 10:45. When your dad found his time card, the original had been destroyed, and for the night of the murders, it was handwritten in by Jason, confirmed by handwriting specialist, that he was there until 10:30.
Right.
I think earlier depositions put his girlfriend picking him up before then. I'm unfamiliar on the time, but his quote-unquote alibi for that night has since been proven wrong.
And you can see every other day is clock in, clock out, right?
Right.
We're used to that, and other types of service industries. You clock in, clock out. But conveniently that day, it is handwritten in. And the owner said that the restaurant was not open that night. Writing in and out, that is not how, that's not their procedure. Mm-hmm. Multiple people are on record saying the restaurant wasn't even open that night. I believe
it was open, but they closed early.
Normally it was open, but that night it was not open that night. They had closed early because it was slow.
Yeah.
They were expecting the big party from Nicole, and then they didn't show up, and so it was slow.
So most nights they would have about 200 people there. On Sunday nights it was less than 40. Your dad confirmed that by going to that restaurant on a Sunday evening at the same time and see how it was dwindling and whatnot. So let me just leave you with a couple quick hits on Jason of why he fits the profile. While he was at UCLA, he was diagnosed with intermittent rage disorder. He had multiple disputes and fights with girlfriends involving knives, one where he cut off the hair of one of his girlfriends. Another time he stabbed himself during an argument. He tried to commit suicide in front of another. I mean, this guy was just very emotionally unstable. He pulled a knife and tried to attack a former employer with a knife. So you can see this pattern of rage and knives.
Familiarity with knives,
yes,
right?
Rage and blades. Yes, for sure.
Good name of the band, by the way.
Yeah. That your dad was so fantastic. He tracked down every single one of his ex-girlfriends just to ask what he was like. They all gave a very similar response of very Jekyll and Hyde. And I thought the thing that was interesting that would trigger him most of the times was lying. If he thought that they were lying to him, he would snap. And that was a part of Nicole's thing that night. She lied. She did not show up where she was supposed to.
That seems like a common bipolar schizophrenic
sure.
thing, is you're always looking for things that are threats and mistrust.
For sure. So after the age of 14, when he overdosed on cocaine, he began having these seizures, and he would have to take Depakote to limit the seizures. You're not supposed to mix other drugs and alcohol in Depakote. He frequently did. And I believe 2 months before the murders, he told his then girlfriend that he's just going to stop taking it. And so I think the issue of, like, could he have entered into a blind rage the night after being lied to by a woman? He absolutely could have.
Yeah, and again, all we're saying is he should be looked at more closely as a suspect to be fully ruled out. And he never thoroughly was, because there is this pattern, like you said. And if there wasn't... People, if they asked, if people asked your friends, Blake, could Blake be possible of this? They would immediately say, no, that'd be so out of character. But given his history, right, it would not have been out of character.
Did your dad ever have any contact with the Goldmans?
To some degree, right?
You have to tread lightly on those matters, and so we spoke to him during our Discovery special, but very respectfully. And he doesn't see it any other way. He sees the evidence that the police put together.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was wondering. If he
doesn't know anything about Jason.
But also think about it from their perspective. They had a judgment against OJ.
Yeah.
If it turns out that
that's true,
well, that money then goes away, right?
Yeah.
Now, how much they actually collected from that, I can't say, but
almost nothing.
Yeah.
Was this book read by Bill James in his book Popular Crime? Do you remember Bill James? The book Popular Crime, he would read tons of books on a certain crime. And then based on reading all of those books, he would come up with his favorite, or what he believed, this is who I believe did it, or this is what I believe the crime was. You're nodding. Do you know this book?
No. I don't.
Okay, it's a wonderful book.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite books. But I wonder if this was included in Bill James's reading.
Well, if not, hey, we'll send him a copy.
For sure.
So the book by William Deere, OJ is Innocent and I Can Prove It. The evidence is there. We went through all of it, but it's a really entertaining read just from the standpoint of him, within a few weeks of the crime, able to sneak into Nicole, not into the house, but by the entrance, and was able to picture himself at the scene. He was tracking Jason for a few weeks, watching his habits. He would follow Jason to work. He would impersonate people to get medical records. He would impersonate cops. It was amazing the lengths that he would go to track down some of this evidence. And now, a little bit of good luck along the way with the storage unit. Yeah. But it was a super entertaining read.
Yeah, he was a dog with a bone, and I mean he had a lot of natural instinct, and he had a lot of tenacity, and he would not have let it go. And some people said it was an obsession, but it was an obsession in his mind for justice. So he was willing to go to the lengths needed to show that, look, this should really be looked at more closely. And I think a couple other things that people may not realize is after the Bronco chase, when OJ and the white Bronco pulled up at the house, the very first person to run up to the car was Jason.
Yeah.
OJ pushed him out of the way.
Yeah.
Right. And by itself, it's okay. That might be nothing, but when you start to put everything together, it sort of forms this picture. Now, again, am I definitively saying it was him? No, but I believe, my dad was right in that he thought he was a main suspect and should be looked at.
I know we wanted to talk to you about another case that your dad was somewhat familiar with.
Well,
I think
before that, though, you own OJ's son's Jeep?
We did.
Oh, you did?
We did. I would say it's a interesting part of the story, but it has nothing really to do with the investigation. After the murders, it was left out in the weather, and so any
on
evidence,
purpose, your
on
dad
purpose,
thought,
right?
Let the rain wash away any.
Exactly. Jeep owners, they'll keep the top off in the nice weather, but it was left out in all kinds. And after so many years, any evidence that might have been there would have been deteriorated and washed away.
But again, it wasn't studied.
It wasn't
within weeks of the murder.
Exactly. It very well could and should have been looked at within that window, and they actually, in that time, probably, if something was there, would have been findable.
I wonder if that would have helped the police a lot in their case. Is just that, yes, we thoroughly looked into this guy, all
right.
These other people.
The things you've ruled out.
Because one of the things in the documentary is, that they focused right on OJ right away, and they never deviated from that.
Well, the other thing is Nicole actually had blood on her fingernails. Right, somebody in defensive would have been scratching, and Phil, you can talk about this as far as the type of blood it was, and how much or lack thereof it was actually looked at.
Well, it was interesting.
Was not Heisman blood?
It was dismissed very, very quickly in Marcia Clark's book because it was type B, but it didn't match anybody at the scene. So it was a quandary. So they came up with this theory, well, Nicole's blood is AB, so it must have deteriorated into B.
And then it was her own blood?
They didn't test anybody else's blood. They didn't test any family member's blood. And so there's a potential smoking gun right there.
And had they tested Jason, I think they could have connected a lot of DNA. But the day after the murders, OJ hired a top criminal attorney to represent Jason. And so he was not touched during any of this.
Exactly. And like you said, supposedly he had an airtight alibi. He could still be looked at today. He could still, my dad's lifelong goal was just to have the LAPD issue a warrant to, talk to him more thoroughly, get his blood drawn, see if that is the final piece of the puzzle.
And Jason is not Nicole's kid?
No.
Right.
Jason
No.
is first wife?
Yeah. I thought the best part of the book...
Well, yeah, he was attracted to her and stuff.
Yeah.
Sorry, my bad.
I thought the best part of the
Forgot about
book
that part.
was your dad went to one of Jason's restaurants that he was working at the time. Jason was on to him towards the end of the night. Jason and his employer kind of walk out with them and are just staring at him. They all kind of know what's going on. And your dad says to Jason's face, "I'll be back." Really cool. Really, really cool.
He would have loved nothing else than to have a sit down with Jason.
So when this
Fantastic
is all
read.
going on, is he working on other cases concurrently, obviously? Like, is that how he's paying the bills? Like, I guess I'm just super interested in what his life is like. Because was he ever working for a company? Like
His own company.
Okay.
Yeah, he was self-employed, a private investigator for over 50 years. He was doing this OJ investigation on his side, his own money. I mean, spent a lot of money. But yeah, he was doing other cases on the side, and he was still doing other investigative work continuously.
Must have done well.
Yeah, he could have done better without all the money on OJ, but yeah, he did pretty well for himself. He was a real life 007. I mean, he, especially in the 60s and 70s, and 80s, his heyday. He was referred to as the real life James Bond, and he definitely believed and lived up to that persona in many ways.
And so he made a lot of connections in his day. And so when you read this book, it's just all these facts are being given him a stamp by all of these forensic experts across the world. And it's not just like his theory.
Yeah.
I mean, he would give this evidence to whoever.
Right.
And they would say, yeah, you make a really good case.
Well, his thing was, never assume, always verify. And so, if he just gives his opinion, that's one thing. But he wanted to get the experts. Let's do the pathologist. Let's do the medical examiner. Let's get these these people who testify as expert witnesses in other cases. Let's get their opinion. This isn't just his personal opinion. He has his thoughts that he wants to verify, and so you involve the experts.
The other case, Blake, is...
This is more in your alley.
Yeah.
The Missy Beavers case.
So we had... it's 10 years, right? It's gotta be close to it.
9. It was April 18th of 2016.
So they had an event the other day that was like a raising awareness type thing, and Blake brought up that was something that your dad had gotten interested in. I don't know. You've heard there's a couple different theories out there, like looking at the gate of
Is this the Grand Prairie
Midlothian.
Yeah.
There was a fitness club, like a Camp Gladiator in the morning, and then the lady was there at the church to set it all up, and she was murdered. There's surveillance footage of a lady or a person walking through inside dressed in like full tactical gear, and there's really not been, outside of you'll get some local chatter and my friend thinks that they heard this or that, but there's really not been much from an official investigation standpoint.
And I think the biggest question there is why. There was a video inside the church of the murder that the police department collected. Pastor confirmed this. It was a 22-minute video, I believe. Never released. Texas Rangers have offered to help. They were turned down. Right? Why? Why is it not being looked? Now, of course, you don't want to release all the details to the public, because when you find a suspect, you want to verify, do they know details that no other person would know? But to solve a case, you have to want to solve a case. And so when you start looking into that, I'm not saying that there's any nefarious reason necessarily, but I do think that there are some, based on my dad's own investigation, and I heard you bring up the True Crime Broads the other day, and he had collaborated with them right before his passing.
Huh.
And I think there are reasons why there might be a little bit dragging of the feet. And one of the suspects, a little bit of backstory on Missy. She, and it's no secret, but I mean, she was having lots of affairs with multiple people, fire department, police officers.
Hell yeah.
Right. And one of the suspects.
Back the blue.
Hey, more than that, more than backing, yeah.
Spread the red. I don't know.
Spread the red.
Certain times of the month. So one of the main suspects was married to a police officer at the time. And if you think about it from the Midlothian PD perspective, how would it look if one of their officers was even tangentially related to the case? And so there's a lot of evidence backing the suspect that they were one, their husband was having an affair with Missy. That's confirmed. There are other aspects of her that fit a certain profile in terms of maybe height and shape and things like that. But also, wife of a police officer, you would think there would be access to police gear, right? And the night before, she had stormed out of a party, I believe, pretty upset. And again, it's just more pieces to the puzzle. But ironically, when she was, this case also, the detectives in charge has sort of rotated over. And so you'll have this kind of start-stop type investigation. And when a new investigator, detective, rolled on in 2020, I believe it was, he started taking another look at her. And it was around that same time that she up and moved to New York with her then boyfriend, and basically living off the grid in New York. And interestingly enough, when people would ask her friends, hey, do you think so-and-so would have done this? Well, again, back to my analogy with Blake, if somebody asked Blake's friends, hey, do you think Blake would have done this? Oh, totally out of character. They go, yeah, I can see her doing that. I mean, they were almost legitimately scared of her, right? And so there's a lot of that. Where there's smoke, there tends to be fire. And a detail that not a lot of people know or remember even is Missy was not killed with sort of being bludgeoned, so to speak. She was shot. And the suspect I talked about, and again, this could all be coincidence, but she was and probably still is a big gun enthusiast. I mean, she would post a number of photos on social media with multiple guns. And interestingly, 9 days before the murder, she had a social media post that said, "I'm watching you," just with a photo of her eyes. 10 days, I believe it was 10 days, I look at the timestamp after the murder, there was a meme of this woman that was tied up kind of like a turkey or something, and basically this woman had a knife and had killed this woman on the table, and her comment to that was, "This is how we do it in the South." And there were multiple other social media posts that are highly questionable. One was organization was putting up more money to find the killer, and she chose to comment, it wasn't, "Oh, this is great," it was, "Why don't you fix such and such?" More disparaging about the organization. Yeah, again, individually, none of that may mean a lot, but when you look at the full picture, it's just these little pieces that start to add up. And just the way my dad started to do it with OJ, it's just, you just follow the crumb trail or whatever they call it. And then you just kind of keep pulling that thread.
I think.
Yeah,
that's right. You follow the Chisholm trail.
That's incredible.
But she was actually shot, and the bludgeoning would have come after, because you're not going to bludgeon somebody and then back up and shoot them. Right? She would have been shot. And obviously that person, there's a lot of theories, but nothing was stolen from the church. Nothing was stolen from Missy's truck. It was a very small window it could happen. And there were some, unfortunate coincidences of the camera outside the church that would have caught who came and went out of that door was inoperable at the time. There was some dark colored car, and there are maybe some similarities or some coincidences with one of the suspects, but she would have been shot. She would have been shot then bludgeoned, and same thing, kind of jealous rage in a sense, right? And I believe Missy had gotten very healthy from the fitness workouts, and she lost a lot of weight. I believe she had a boob job, and if your husband was sleeping with her, you can see where the jealous rage would have come in. And I can show you some photos of side by side with the suspect and the video stills from the church, and Interestingly, the police department originally, they referred to the suspect as him. Shortly thereafter, they backed and said, we cannot confirm it was him or a man or a woman. And they said that the suspect would have been between 5'2" and 5'8", and that they ruled out a couple suspects in that way because one of the suspects was 6'1". Well, it doesn't fit the profile. And so
I would like to disagree with you on one thing. The Blake, what if he was, caught because he had murdered 10 people? Like, Blake could win the lottery right in front of you, and you would see no emotional reaction at all. He's Dexter. He's cold. He's calculated. He's just taking care of business.
He'd be a
You
good
don't
poker
know
player.
what he's doing.
Well, even when he's having a kid, right? You don't even know.
He'd be a good poker player, yes. You don't know if he's enjoying something or not enjoying it, and you're afraid of him in the long run. You fear Blake, and you should. Did your dad ever look into the Grand Prairie Cobra?
Boy, that would have been number one on the list,
Remember
right?
that?
What happened to the Cobra?
We don't know.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
Probably got a job, paying taxes now, hardworking.
Still, we got to get rid of it.
Was he? Did he? Where do you guys fall on just general conspiracy theories?
I mean, what are we talking here?
Well,
how high level is this? Is this after dark? I mean, it's pretty sunny outside.
Like Vegas shooter. Did he have theories on things like that, or was it? Because I don't think of James Bond type things as necessarily being conspiracy type things. You're doing real investigative work. Like, that's different than just. I have some questions about reptiles and the government.
Gentlemen, I also want to say that my dad was involved in the Wax Museum murders that were in Grand Prairie. Rob Ripley's, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
There were murders there?
Turns out the Cobra did it.
No, yeah.
But yeah, he was involved in that as well.
I wasn't aware there was something called the Wax Museum.
It was the Wax Museum, right? And the owner-manager died mysteriously, and then the place burned down. I'm the old school guy. I don't keep up with the new stuff, but yeah, he did all that stuff.
1987, Dan. The poisoning.
Oh, and he also was in charge of the security to exhume Lee Harvey Oswald.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
He was in the room where the exhumation was taking place.
Because they thought it wasn't Lee Harvey, right? They thought some writer in London or something said it was a body double or whatever.
Russian spy.
Spy. And so, yeah, Bill was involved in that as well.
So the head actually rolled off the table, and he picked it up, and a certain former colleague would have said he felt the power at that time. But, yeah, he had to have some security around when they dug it up. And so,
awesome.
I mean, to your point, he wasn't a conspiracy theorist. I think a lot of times private investigators can get a bad rep of they're nuts. Well, there's a lot out there that give them that reputation.
I guess that's what I'm kind of trying to get at, is the difference between those two things, like a professional and just a skeptic.
He was focused on real life cases and ones that, I mean, he took on the hard cases, and he even looked at, on his own time, the John Benet Ramsey case, and was pretty convinced that he knew what had happened there. And not all of them led to books.
Suicide, right?
Wrong.
That could have been one of the theories.
Just the pressure of the circuit.
Yeah,
the pageant circuit's rough.
Kids these
And
days.
she did herself up like a pageant, like the soldier and A Few Good Men or whatever, like the full uniform.
Right.
And then,
you know how it is.
Sorry.
Who
did he think did it?
Patty, right?
He had his theories. One of them was the brother.
The brother.
And the parents covered
the
it
knot
up.
that was tied was a Boy Scout type of knot, and he was studying that at the time. But that was just a theory.
Jealousy. John Benet is getting all the attention. Again, this is all theory, right? That we have to frame all this in hypothetical. But back to the jealousy, I think that's a huge motivation for a lot of killings. Right? You have to have the motive, the opportunity, and all these things. But again, if you're the parent, you've already lost one child. You don't want to lose the other one, right? So you may then frame the scene in such a way that it makes it look like something else. And I think a parent's love is a very powerful thing that will cause people to maybe, in the case of OJ, right, maybe take on more of the blame and be the butt of jokes for eternity to protect his son. Because today his son could still be charged, right? There's no statute of limitations on murder.
Like you said, possible father of the year or decade or.
I mean, it's a
millennium, maybe.
Honestly, this is the sort of thing that they write books in the Bible about.
Right below God over Jesus, right? You would have to say.
Well,
although maybe even better. Like he's protecting
God didn't
his
have
son.
a Heisman. Then OJ did
Yeah.
both. Protected his son.
Are you guys any of the sons of William Deere like into the PI game? I mean, I know you own the Spy Store, but
Yeah,
I just
so
work it there.
Yeah,
Work at
so-
the spy shop.
Yeah.
My brother owns the Spy Center.
Spy Center.
We a pretty big age gap between us, but yeah. So my dad was a private investigator for 50 years. My brother worked for him a lot early on, and then he sort of deviated a different path, still within that sort of spy, universe, but more of the surveillance type equipment. My dad's the one that continued down. Well, he stayed doing sort of the investigative work.
Dad spread his seed around. Yeah, Dad was Elon-ish.
He spread
Except
his
he
seed
actually were with women.
and
Actually with
knowledge in other areas that we shall not speak of. But yeah, I mean, 007, the movies. I would say he personified him in many ways.
Who did we have the other day that had like pitched in 4 days? Something crazy.
Right, yeah.
We had somebody, but that feels like what Bill was doing.
Well, I wish we could have had him on the show.
It would have been nice, wouldn't
I
it?
searched these emails, and I'm not saying that it didn't happen, but
I mean, do I need to pull receipts?
you probably will
He
have
probably
to.
has Send them to us.
Probably will have
Send the
to.
receipts to us. just to see.
Timestamp everything, date.
Yeah, of course, if anybody could falsify some timestamps, I would guess these guys would be pretty good.
Not me. I'm not an investigative business, so
I know, but you know people.
Well, I mean, I
Do your do your wives stay like super worried? I would think like you'd always be worried that there's a camera somewhere.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to watch your house.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was worried in the bathroom over there.
I don't even want Alexa in the house. So cameras on the outside, nothing on the inside. Nobody needs to know my business.
Tell you what, dating as a young man who works at the Spy Center, it's pretty tough these days.
That seriously's got to, yeah. Like, what do you do? Well, I sell stalking stuff. I sell things to follow you around.
And then they mysteriously get a phone call and have to walk away.
Well, thanks for having us, guys.
This is sweet. Let's blow some stuff up.
Well, hey, let's go do it. Yeah, appreciate you making the trip. And I know it was a long haul, but yeah, we have some pretty cool stuff to show you all off air.
Let's do it.
Adios, mofo.
We gotta go before this becomes a zoo.
Thank you for watching my video. Subscribe and type for my name if you want to watch more of my videos.